Just a few days ago, he was your average guy, living a normal life. He was just enjoying a nice walk on a spring day when a bus suddenly came out of nowhere and ended his life. Because he died a virgin, God gave him a second chance to live. But he was reincarnated in a different world. Here, in a land created by the gods, there exists a vast array of powerful monsters. Humans, too, had to rely on their own strength to carve out a place for themselves on this continent. But unfortunately for him, he was reborn as a goblin. Nothing more than a lowly monster, filthy and weak. Pathetically, he still clung to his human compassion, believing that all people were righteous and good. His weakness and naivety were his greatest, most fatal flaws. And it got him killed. Again. From that day forward, he harbored a deep hatred for humanity. He swore that in this life, he would shatter every man's dreams and send them to their graves. And he would make every woman kneel and whimper at his feet. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Infinity Manhwa. Today, we're recapping the series. I was reincarnated as a goblin. If you like what you see, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, we hope you enjoy the show. The story begins deep inside a stone cave, where a golden light shines through. It's followed by the panicked echo of a desperate voice. The chief. He's dead. Then a loud cackle rings out. Gah ha ha. Then it screams. The chief's weapon is mine. Deeper inside the cave, we see 3 sickly green goblins. With long ears, their chief lies sprawled out dead on the ground, surrounded by other low-level goblins. One goblin, holding a wooden club, raises it high and screams with glee. I'm the chief now. The other goblin, seething with rage, crawls over the chief's body. It can't stand it any longer and screams back. Bullshit. What bullshit are you spouting? In that instant, it lunges forward, throwing itself at the goblin with the club. It roars with its mouth wide open as it charges. I'm a new chief. The charging goblin's eyes are bloodshot. It takes a huge bite, sinking its teeth right into the long nose of the one with the club. It growls. The club-wielding goblin, in sheer agony, can only let out a few muffled sounds. Gak. The club-wielding goblin is completely overpowered. It's pinned to the ground. Around the 2 wrestling goblins is a horde of low-level goblins. They screech and clamor, ready to tear each other apart, now that there's no one in charge. Suddenly, one of the goblins in the crowd licks its grayish lips greedily. Its eyes dart to another as it says, the prey. The chief left behind prey he didn't get to enjoy. Let's go take it. The other goblin replies hesitantly, but the one guarding the prey. Just as it finishes speaking, both goblins jump in fright, as if they heard something. They say, he's coming back. Just as they predicted, a strange goblin's foot steps into view. Unlike the low-level goblins from before, this one has a head of hair. It's wearing a hooded cloak and looks far less repulsive than the others. From a moment, the hooded goblin appears. It just walks silently and confidently through the crowd of hideous goblins. The foolish goblins surround it, watching and chattering amongst themselves. It's him. He's the one who guards the prey, the disgusting bastard. He covers his body, just like a human. He knows where the prey is. They figure he must want the prey all to himself. From the darkness of the cave, from behind the hooded goblin, hundreds of red eyes glowed with seething hatred. Let's charge them all at once and take back our prey. The hooded goblin, however, walked on, seemingly unconcerned. Just as 2 goblins were about to rush forward, one grabbed the other's shoulder and said cautiously, wait, the ones who just went after the prey, they're not ones we should mess with. Let them fight it out. Then we'll make our move. The hooded goblin seemed to hear something unusual. Its long, pointed ears twitched. He thought to himself, this is bad. Behind them, the 2 low-level goblins were still walking. Suddenly, a woman's scream echoed through the cave. Help me. Don't touch me. Hearing this, the hooded goblin immediately dashed toward the sound. The screams grew louder and clearer. Get away from me. Somebody help. The hooded goblin finally spotted the source of the screams. His eyes narrowed, focused on a chamber deeper inside the cave. The voice was unmistakable now. Please, someone save me. In a flash, the hooded goblin arrived to see 2 low-level goblins tearing at a young woman's clothes. He roared. Stop. One of the goblins, caught in the act, turned its head and grunted, huh. Her eyes, the assaulted girl's eyes, filled with tears. They widened as she stared at the hooded goblin. It wasn't just 2 goblins, but 4 of them, swarming her, tearing at the clothes of what they called their prey. They were getting ready to violate her, pinned down by them, her clothes in tatters, and drenched in sweat. She turned her gaze and pleaded with the hooded goblin. She cried out, Save me. I'm begging you. Please, save me. The hooded goblin, having just arrived, glared at them. Panting heavily, his mouth agape, he snarled, You bastards. Let her go now. The largest goblin among them stepped forward. He got right in the face of the hooded goblin. You again. You freak. The chief is dead. This prey belongs to us. Behind him, the girl was completely stripped, held down by the other perverted goblins. She lay on her back on the ground, awaiting her fate. Further back were piles of bones, the remains of past prey they had devoured after violating them. The big, fat goblin lowered its head. Its nose was sharp, and so long it almost touched its chin. It growled, You dare try and steal my prey? With that, it charged madly at the hooded goblin, roaring, Tear him apart. The other 3 scrambled behind it, rushing forward in a chaotic mob. The hooded goblin stood frozen. The pack of goblins swarmed him, clawing and biting, nearly knocking him off his feet. In that moment, he thought, Damn these filthy goblins. His eyes turned blood red. His pupils glowed scarlet. Thoughts surfaced from deep within his subconscious. To think that I'd be pushed this far by the lowest level goblins. Before his eyes, he saw the filthy mob of goblins. Disgusting. One lunged forward, mouth agape. Another was ready to sink its teeth into his arm, and another his leg. The hooded goblin screamed, a scream filled with pure rage. Asterisk, no, I can't die. Asterisk, not here. He gritted his teeth and roared, I have to survive. It seemed the hooded goblin's will to live had reached its absolute peak. He overcame his own fear and faced his enemies. He paused for a second. Then, suddenly, something about him struck terror into the other goblins. 2 of them stared, their red eyes wide and their jaws hanging open. Turns out, one of them had its throat slit by the hooded goblin's blade and had already collapsed to the ground. Seeing this, the others froze, not daring to make a move. The hooded goblin's hair was visible now, looking almost human. He was different from his own kind. And because of that, he was an easy target. This was the first time he'd ever fought back against the other goblins since their leader died. He pointed his knife at them. His face grim, he glared and growled, Get lost, or else. It seemed the goblins were terrified of weapons. In this cave, the one with a weapon was king. Their faces went pale at the sight of the blade. One after another, they scrambled away. They shrieked as they fled. Run, he's got a weapon. Even so, they still managed to hurl a few threats over their shoulders. You just wait. Once the other goblins had fled, the outcast finally let out a sigh of relief. He gasped for air, his breath misting in the cold. His body was tiny. He slumped to the ground, as if all his strength had vanished. The girl beside him wasn't in much better shape. Her clothes were in tatters. She helped support him, her voice filled with concern. Hey, Goblin, are you okay? Thank you for saving me again. After a brief pause, she continued, I can't believe it. You never hurt me. You always protected me. You're really not like a goblin at all. Please don't die. The outcast goblin was still panting heavily. Not like a goblin, huh? He thought to himself. A system interface flickered into view before his eyes. The screen displayed a single line. System initializing. The outcast goblin's face was grim as he thought it all over. Asterisk, but I used to be human. Asterisk. By this point, it was obvious to anyone watching. This unique, hooded goblin was our main character. His real name was Lin Tion, or rather, that was his name in his past life. He'd been reincarnated here, and while he came with a system, it was so sluggish it still hadn't finished booting up. Other than being able to see his stats, it seemed to have absolutely no other function. Right now, Lin Tion, our goblin protagonist, was deep in thought. My stats are just too low. Even among other goblins, I could be killed in an instant. The system panel displayed Lin Tion's information. Attribute panel. Name, Lin Tion. Race, Goblin, Divine Blessing. Level, 5. Class, none. HP, 20/20ths. Energy 5. Defense 5. Racial skill. Devouring. Gene. Equipment. Crude stone knife. Total combat power 30. Returning to the problem at hand, Lin Tian continued to ponder. As messed up as it sounds, there is another way to get stronger. And that's by mating with those girls. Lin Tian squinted, his gaze drifting over to the short-haired girl who was clutching her stomach, catching her breath. A new train of thought began. Goblins gain power and grow stronger through mating and reproduction. But they don't have any females. To reproduce, they have to mate with females of other species. That's why they're always raiding and kidnapping. But I was human. Doing something like that is just... Lin Tian sat on a rock and sighed, feeling completely dejected. He had no idea what he was supposed to do. Beside him, the girl in her tattered clothes looked at him in confusion. Suddenly, she spoke, her voice full of hope. Her eyes sparkled as she said, "Hey, don't be so sad. Living together these past few days, I've come to understand." A faint blush appeared on her cheeks as she continued. "You're not like them. You don't want to live with those other goblins either, right?" Lin Tian's mind was a storm of conflicting thoughts. With a grim expression, he could only remain silent. But she wasn't about to let him wallow in despair. The innocent girl tried to offer a few more words of encouragement, a flicker of hope for them both. "Don't worry. When the knights get here to rescue me, I'll tell them you were trying to save me. The Knight's Order always rewards good deeds. I'm sure they'll let you come back and live in the village." At the mention of the Knight's Order, Lin Tian's expression brightened slightly. He wasn't exactly thrilled, but a new plan began to form in his mind. He thought, she has a point. Even if I can't activate the system yet, all I have to do is hold out until we're rescued. And in return, I'll have the protection of the humans here. First, I have to survive. Then, I can take my time and figure out how to unlock this system. Suddenly, a loud noise echoed all around them. A deep, rumbling sound. Frantic scrambling. It sent both Lin Tian and the girl into a panic. Lin Tian's eyes darted to the side, his expression instantly on high alert. Damn it. Those goblins are back. Lin Tian spun around to face the girl. Quick, hide. The terrified girl crumpled to the ground, shaking. Alone, Green Leg stepped into view. Lin Tian immediately took a defensive stance, his small blade at the ready. The girl scrambled to hide behind a large rock. But she couldn't resist peeking out. Her peeking was as good as shouting, "Here I am." The sight of the girl seemed to drive the goblin into a frenzy. Drool dripped from its gaping mouth. It lunged forward, reaching out as it snarled. Human, come here. I want to breed." With bloodshot eyes, it spat. "If I get stronger, I won't be killed." Lin Tian narrowed his eyes. He glared, gritting his teeth. The monster roared. "Human." The word was barely out of its mouth before Lin Tian's blade sliced across its neck mid-lunge. The goblin's eyes went wide. As the goblin collapsed, Lin Tian heard the sound of approaching footsteps, human footsteps, echoing from outside the cave. He turned to the girl. "Hey, I think your rescue party is here." The girl scrambled up onto a nearby rock. She called out, "Really?" Hearing that help had arrived. Her face lit up with joy. She rushed toward the mouth of the cave. She cried out excitedly, "It must be the Knight's Order. This is great. Let's go see." Lin Tian hurried after her. Moments later, Lin Tian froze. Before him, a knight in brilliant white armor sent. A whole swarm of goblins flying with a single swing of his sword. Lin Tian could only stare, dumbfounded by the scene. The knight was tall, handsome, and wore a green cloak over his shoulders. A powerful aura radiated from him. He glanced over his shoulder and scoffed. Disgusting. These filthy creatures actually dared to tear the uniform of our holy order. A system panel materialized in front of Lin Tian, displaying the stats of the knight before him. Status. Name, Luo Da. Race, human. Level, 25. Class, swordsman. HP, 200/200. MP, 30/30ths. Defense, 50. Skills, Chi Sword Slash. Sword Dance. Blade Arts. Heavenly Return Sword. Equipment. Sword of Judgment. White Armor. Gold. Combat Power, 400. Lin Tian's expression grew serious. The swordsman, Luo Da. The gap between them was as wide as the heavens and the earth. And our protagonist? He was the abyss. He thought, This is the first time I've seen numbers this high since I came to this world. Is he even human? At that moment, the distraught girl scrambled toward the swordsman load. Overjoyed, she waved her hands and shouted, "Captain, we're over here." This swordsman was the captain of the Holy Order, the very one the girl had mentioned before. She had come hoping he would save her life. And yet, now that he had found her, the man's expression showed not a shred of concern. Standing behind her, Lin Tian crossed his arms, lost in thought. He took care of that goblin horde so easily. Suddenly, Lin Tian's face filled with horror. His eyes flew wide as he saw Captain Lode raise his sword high, poised to strike the girl down. Lin Tian gasped. Something's wrong. Quick as a flash, Lin Tian lunged forward. He grabbed the girl and dove to the side, narrowly dodging the captain's fatal blow. He yelled, "Watch out!" Having dodged the strike, the two of them tumbled to the ground. Even with his small frame, Lin Tian shielded the girl as they fell. They both scrambled back up. The girl clutched her stomach, struggling to her feet in pain. Lin Tian, however, stared back, his face a mask of fury and disbelief at the captain's actions. He thought, isn't he supposed to be rescuing her? Then why did he attack? Asterisk, is it too dark in here? Did he mistake her for a goblin? Asterisk. Even after the attack, Lin Tian's reasoning was still far too naive. But now, there was no room for doubt. Captain Lode stalked toward them, his expression murderous. A blue aura flared to life around him. He dragged his sword along the ground as he approached, his voice dripping with contempt. "So, you even managed to dodge an attack from that goblin. What a disgrace." The girl struggled to her feet. She clutched her chest, her eyes welling with tears as she desperately tried to make him recognize her. "Captain, it's me. I'm Clea." The captain, in fact, knew perfectly well who she was, but his reply was as cold as ice. "Shut your mouth, Clea. I know who you are, but you've already been defiled by those goblins. For all I know, you're carrying one of their vile spawn." His massive shadow loomed over the innocent girl, who knelt in despair, looking up at the captain she had trusted. His cruel words continued, "And you expect me to spare a wretched thing like you? How absurd. You should go and repent for your sins before the pushed into a corner." Clea had no other choice. She tried one last time to explain. She grabbed the hem of the captain's pants, and through a flood of tears, she pleaded, "Captain, wait please. They captured me, but I wasn't defiled." Then, she turned to Lin Tian. "It was him." The girl spun around and pointed at the goblin. "This goblin protected me." The captain leveled his sword and his gaze at Lin Tian. Lin Tian flinched under the murderous stare. No matter what the girl said, Captain Lode remained convinced that she was tainted. He raised his sword once more and snarled through gritted teeth, "If you're going to lie, at least make it believable. Do you take me for a fool? Now go die with those inferior creatures." The girl knelt powerlessly before the captain. Lin Tian watched from the side. "Unbelievable. I can't believe this is happening." In a flash, Lin Tian pushed off his goblin feet and took off. He rushed forward and shoved the girl to the side. He yelled, "Run. There's an exit over there. Get out of here now." As he moved, Lin Tian snatched a wooden club from the ground. The power gap between him and his opponent was enormous. And yet, Lin Tian fearlessly charged the captain, club in hand. Rage burned inside him. Damn it all. I never thought it would end like this. Seeing the goblin charge, the captain met him head on. The two of them were about to collide. At that critical moment, a brilliant beam of light shot into the cave from the entrance. Lin Tian's eyes went wide. He stared dumbfounded. Suddenly, the voice of a golden-haired girl, a strikingly beautiful girl, cut in. "Hold on, Lord." The earlier flash of spiritual energy had formed a shimmering orb that now enveloped Lin Tian, paralyzing him completely. The captain himself seemed a bit flustered. Behind him stood an incredibly beautiful girl. Her golden hair flowed all the way down to her feet. In her hands, she cradled a glowing golden orb of spiritual energy. She radiated a benevolent aura like that of Saintus. Behind her stood a company of knights in full iron armor, their presence imposing. The girl spoke. "This goblin, there seems to be something strange about it." The moment she saw the newcomers, poor Clea threw herself to the ground, prostrating and begging repeatedly, "Your Holiness, please save me, Your Holiness." Immobilized, Lin Tian could only dart his eyes back and forth, trying to follow what was happening. Clea crawled to the saintess's feet. Still kneeling, she reached out her hands, pleading, "Save me, Your Holiness." Seeing this, the saintess knelt before everyone and gently took the girl's hands. The captain then helped the poor girl to her feet. The saintess turned and called out, "Goblin, can you understand what I'm saying?" Lin Tian's body was ramrod stiff. He looked up at the saintess. So this is her. She must be the Saintess Evely, the voice of the holy temple they mentioned. She's my only hope of getting out of here. A look of eager hope filled Lin Tian's face. He quickly replied, "I can." Then, in front of the saintess and the captain who was now supporting the distraught girl, he remained frozen in place. Lin Tian continued, speaking with all the honesty he could muster. "You're the saintess they mentioned, right? The truth is, I wasn't originally a creature of this world. I used to be human. I only turned into this because of an accident. I can explain everything clearly. All of it to all of you when we get back." Hearing this, neither the saintess nor the captain believed a word he said. To them, he was simply a low-level creature with a bit of cunning. The captain spoke dismissively. "It seems it really is smarter than the other goblins. How rare." But the saintess simply offered a benevolent smile. "Indeed, goblins are all foolish, inferior creatures, beings that cannot speak or think coherently. Perhaps he is a gift bestowed upon us by the Holy Mother." The saintess then turned to Clea, her expression warm. "Clea, did the goblin truly not harm you?" The girl quickly waved her hands, her face beaming as she spoke of Lin Tian. "That's right. Not only did he not hurt me, he always protected me from the other goblins. He even gave me food." After hearing her story, the saintess looked pleased. She replied in a gentle voice, "If he's that special, then we'll take this goblin back with us. We will study him thoroughly before deciding his fate." Hearing this, the girl's eyes lit up. She was overjoyed. The captain silently placed a hand on her shoulder, ready to depart. Having spoken, the saintess turned back to Lin Tian. She regarded him with a kind gaze and asked softly, "Do you agree?" Lin Tian felt like he'd struck gold. He answered immediately, without a moment's hesitation, "I agree. I'll go with you." Lin Tian was inwardly celebrating. Finally, someone who might listen to me. Staying here meant certain death. It was better to go with them and prove my innocence once we get back. Without making him wait, the saintess waved her hand with a flick of her fingers. Instantly, the orb of spiritual energy around Lin Tian cracked and vanished. He looked up, watching it dissipate. At last, Lin Tian could move again, and the girl was safe. The saintess began to walk, leading the way. Her voice carried back to them. "All right then, let's head back. Come along." Lin Tian, the goblin, obediently followed. He made sure to walk closer to the saintess. He looked up at her, ready to thank her. Thank you for your kindness. I swear I'll find a way to repay you." "Oh," but before she could finish, the saintess, her eyes, suddenly went cold. Her entire expression changed. She snarled. Of course, behind the commander, she plunged a dagger deep into the other girl's stomach. A piercing scream. Shink. A clean, cold strike. Up ahead, the goblin Lin Tian sensed something was wrong and flinched. A terrible feeling washed over him as he whipped his head around. He saw the commander let go, the girl's body falling limp to the ground. Lin Tian watched in horror as she died right in front of him. It was all too much for him. He thought he'd finally found a lifeline for them both. But now his only companion lay broken, in a spreading pool of fresh blood. Lin Tian's mind went blank. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. A cold sweat drenched his face. His whole body froze, stiff as a statue. The woman who seemed like a benevolent saintess. The one who was supposed to grant Lin Tian a new life, in a twisted turn of fate, was nothing more than a demon in human skin. A truly terrifying monster. That which turned to the goblin, Lin Tian, her voice dripping with venom. "Once we get back, you can repay me properly." At that moment, our hero was truly trapped with no way out. He could only remain silent. 1 week later, in the town square, the holy bells rang out. A large crowd of townspeople gathered in the plaza to hear the Holy Order's sermon. On the wooden stage stood the commander and the saintess. The commander leaned on his great sword, his voice booming for all the town to hear. "This surprise attack has brought great loss to Luminous Town." His face, was grim and serious. He roared to the masses. The goblins used their vile, sneaky tactics to slaughter 30 citizens of Luminous Town. Hearing this, the townspeople's hatred burned even hotter. The young men in the crowd surged forward, shouting in fury, "Death to the goblins! Blood for blood! An eye for an eye!" Humans and goblins can never coexist, because the Holy Order had always blamed every misfortune on the goblins. In the eyes of the people, goblins were nothing but evil, filthy creatures. Every last one of them. The commander quickly moved to quiet the roaring crowd. He shouted, but then he spread his arms wide. He placed one hand on a board displaying pictures of the victims. His hand rested near the face of the very girl he had helped murder just days ago. With an air of absolute righteousness, the commander declared, "The Holy Order, representing the sanctuary, has already wiped out those goblins. We have avenged our fallen villagers." At his side, the saintess took a step forward. She spread her arms wide, bestowing a blessing upon the crowd below. "The sanctuary will forever protect its faithful children." The crowd roared in unison. Long live the Order of Knights! Under the adoring gaze of the people, she was like a living god, a benevolent woman, ready to shelter anyone who followed the holy path. The scene shifts to the saintess's private study within the sanctuary. Bookshelves filled with scripture line the walls. In the center sits a luxurious desk and chair. On the desk lies a scroll detailing holy rites. The saintess gazed at it, exhausted, and sighed about her day. Phew! Today's sermon was a great success. They're all still as foolish as ever, dressed in a sheer nightgown. She lounged casually in her chair, idly swirling a red vial in her hand. She stared into it, musing to herself. This way, they'll become even more devout and offer more to the sanctuary. Just then, our hero, Lin Tian, comes into view. His mouth is locked shut by a steel muzzle. Looking utterly broken, he manages to mumble the saintess's name. Hearing him, she glanced over at the whispering Lin Tian. Only then is the full extent of his torture by the Holy Order revealed. His scalp is torn away in patches. One of his eyes has been gouged out. He was covered in his own blood, a wretched sight. With what little strength he had left, he let out a furious roar. "You monster!" Lin Tian's hands were cuffed, his body hanging against the wall. He was like a lab rat, there for them to do with as they pleased. His body was tiny, emaciated. He tried to fight back, snarling, "You bitch!" Across from him, the woman, Elvia, sat with her legs crossed, watching Lin Tian. She seemed to be savoring this strange new form of entertainment. How could such a beautiful face belong to someone so cruel? Elvia had thought Lin Tian wouldn't be able to withstand the torture. Surprised, she turned to him and spoke. "So you're still alive? Your life force is surprisingly resilient. No wonder the Holy Temple could never completely eradicate the goblins from the continent." Deciding the torture wasn't enough, the cruel woman said right to Lin Tian's face, "How about we test the effects of poison? On a goblin this time?" Lin Tian remained motionless against the wall. Hearing this, he could do nothing but grind his teeth in rage. "You lied to me. You lied. To everyone. You even killed Kia." Unable to bear it any longer, he looked like he was going mad. He screamed in desperation at the saintess, Elvia. "Is this what you call a legion? Is this what you call justice?" The moment the words left his mouth, a wooden stake was shoved deep into Lin Tian's throat. It was sudden and brutal. Elvia pressed her face close to Lin Tian's. Her hand gripped the stake in his throat tightly. She snarled through gritted teeth. "How strange. A worthless little monster. A creature that only thinks of lust. And you dare to question our human justice?" Lin Tian's small body was pinned against the wall. Exhausted, he couldn't fight back. Her pride wounded, the saintess raised her voice and continued. "Kia was bewitched by you. She even dared to defend you. That's a betrayal of humanity, a betrayal of the Legion. Her death was her final act of loyalty." Then, her expression twisted. A demonic aura surrounded her. It was as if she were the real monster. But Elvia didn't seem to realize it. She raised a hand, channeling spiritual energy as she spoke. "The existence of goblins is nothing more than a pest on this continent." Her twisted logic made her seem even more depraved. As she continued, "For me, the saintess, to even deign to listen to you, is a blessing I've bestowed upon you." With that, the saintess raised her hand. A torrent of energy swirled, flying toward Lin Tian, whose head was bowed. In defeat, the vicious woman delivered her final verdict. "Be grateful that I am allowing your nauseating body to contribute to human experimentation." The spiritual energy in Elvia's hand blazed even more intensely. In that instant, the streams of golden energy formed a magic circle behind Lin Tian. His hands were bound tight. Flames engulfed his body. All Lin Tian could do was let out a blood-curdling scream. His remaining eye glazed over. It seemed he had officially died for a second time. But his hatred was too great to let him close his eyes. In his subconscious, Lin Tian's mind drifted back to the past. He blamed himself. "It was all because I was so stupid. Reborn from a human into a lowly goblin. And I was foolish enough to still harbor a love for humanity, believing they all stood for justice and kindness. Weakness and naivety. That was my fatal mistake. After I was brought to the human village, I was tortured in countless ways by the Lord and Elvia. No matter how many times I tried to explain, they never believed a word I said. I hadn't even been alive for more than a few days before she treated me like a toy and played with me until I died." Now, within Lin Tian's subconscious, constantly thinking about the chances I had, desperate for a do-over, to keep on living, to find some happiness. If I could be reborn, I would never, ever trust a human again. If I could be reborn, I swear I would. His hatred boiled over, reaching its absolute peak. His entire body felt like it was in a free fall into a bottomless abyss. Lin Tian's subconscious screamed with longing. If only I could live one more time. Just when it seemed like everything was over. Suddenly, Lin Tian's eyes shot open. Startled, he looked down at his body, floating in a strange, illusory space that resembled the vastness of the cosmos. He asked himself, "Am I not dead yet? Where's this place?" Just then, a system panel materialized before him. "Goblin Life Simulation System has been activated. Conducting evaluation. Evaluation complete. You are dead. Cause of death, stupidity. You forgot that you are nothing more than a goblin. Humans are fundamentally untrustworthy. They will show no mercy to a goblin. You died after prolonged torture and abuse. The agony you endured for that 1 week has been seared into your very soul. You will never forget the pain humans inflicted upon you. Your end is one of the most pathetic deaths among all transmigrators. Rebooting for a new life. Do you consent to begin rebirth? Yes or no?" The goblin, Lin Tian, stared fiercely at the system panel. He blurted out, "This is a system? Is this my personal system? So it only activates after I die?" Lin Tian's expression changed, as if seeing a new opportunity flash before his eyes. His eyes widened as he wondered, "Can this system really bring me back to life?" Then he answered his own question, "But even if I come back, I'll still be a lowly goblin." He hesitated for a long moment, lost in thought. Exhausted, Lin Tian sat cross-legged, staring at the system panel as his mind raced. This yes or no? What does it really mean? Instantly, a new notification appeared. Clarification. For the host. Report to host. If you select no, your soul will dissipate and you will die permanently. If you select yes, your current memories will be retained, and you will be returned to the Goblin Cave 1 week in the past. After reading the message, Lin Tian's face darkened, a stunned expression crossing his features. With all my memories, I can go back 1 week? Then, he lowered his head and let out a chilling, demonic laugh. I see now. It seems our protagonist is ready to face the hardships once more. Inside Lin Tian's mind, he trembled with excitement at the chance for a do-over, already knowing everything he was about to face. So this is my chance for revenge. I will take absolutely everything from Loda and Every. Lin Tian's face was now a mask of pure exhilaration. His eyes glowed crimson as he decisively stabbed his finger at the yes button on the system panel. Instantly, a torrent of blue energy enveloped the small, floating body of the goblin, Lin Tian. The system chimed. You have chosen to return. Lin Tian's eyes narrowed. A blood-red light burned within them. He radiated an overwhelming will for revenge. In that very moment, the system teleported Lin Tian out of the illusion. System announcement. Jumping to Godhen Cave. Whoosh. Ding. The system chimed, announcing. The goblin's second life has begun. To help you survive longer, the system has been slightly enhanced for you. Lin Tian let out a deep breath. He clenched his fist, slowly feeling the enhanced power coursing through him. And just like that, the goblin Lin Tian had truly returned. He looked healthier, brimming with energy. Still the same unique goblin appearance, though. Lin Tian looked at his hands and said, "Slightly is right, but hey, it's better than nothing." Continuing, the system displayed a new notification for Lin Tian. Reminder, although the host has been reborn, the immediate danger has not been averted. The human's holy party is about to arrive. Warning, if the host dies again, the system will not be able to resurrect you. As the gravity of the situation hit him, Lin Tian stared at the system with grim resolve. Just as I thought, the Holy Knights are almost here. I can't let my guard down. In this desperate moment, Lin Tian immediately questioned the system. System, what can you do for me right now? Without making the host wait, the system instantly displayed the Goblin Life simulator and began its explanation. This is the Goblin Life simulation system. The host can use this system to simulate your own life and predict what might happen in the future. Please note, every choice the host makes will lead to a different future outcome. Each simulation has a 24-hour cooldown. After the simulation ends, the host will receive points that can be exchanged for items. Hearing this, Lin Tian's face lit up with interest at what the system offered. He smirked and said confidently, "A simulation, a chance to see the future." With that, he gave a command, "Start the life simulation." Lin Tian stretched his hand toward the system panel, his posture radiating complete confidence as he began. Receiving the command, the system displayed the simulation message. Current scenario: escape from the Goblin Cave. The Goblin Cave you are in has been discovered by the Holy Knight, Lord Er. To escape from the Holy Knight, Lord Er, you must make one of the following choices. 1. Warn the other goblins. Unite to face Lord Er's party. Accumulated points, +10. 2. Ignore the other goblins and flee alone. Accumulated points, +5. 3. Hide in the cave. Pray that Lord Er and his holy knights do not find you. Accumulated points, +0. The three scenarios appeared before Lin Tian. The goblin boy took in every single word. This was a critical decision. After a long moment of deliberation, the goblin Lin Tian rested his chin on his hand, thinking about the swordsman, Lord Er. Even though there are three options, I'm sure of one thing. Even if every goblin in this cave charged together, we'd be no match for Lord Er. The only way to survive is to run. Then, Lin Tian made his decision. I'll try the simulation first. I'll pick the option with the highest score. If I can exchange the points for a weapon, I might just be able to fight off their attack. Without hesitation, the goblin Lin Tian reached out and selected the first option. The result appeared a second later. You have died. The system displayed the next message. You led the goblins of the cave in a desperate, all-out battle against Lord Er's party of holy knights. Due to the vast difference in strength, you were slain by Lord Er's group. You overestimated the goblin's strength. Summary: before making a decision, properly assess your own strength. At the end of the notification, the system awarded Lin Tian 10 accumulated points. Accumulated points, 10. He wasn't surprised by the outcome. Lin Tian stared intently at the system, his mind racing. Just as I predicted, relying on the goblins here is a death sentence. But I got the points. A new idea sparked in his mind. Lin Tian said aloud, "Open the exchange shop." A dazzling array of high-value items materialized around the goblin, Lin Tian. They were stunning. He was awestruck by the weapons available in the shop. Lin Tian glanced around and marveled. Whoa, look at all these incredible weapons. But my points are too low. After a frantic search, he found that his accumulated points were just enough to exchange for a dagger. He cried out in delight. This dagger is exactly 10 points. Light and swift elven dagger. Speed, +10%. Energy, +15. A small dagger crafted by elves. It is very delicate, but more than sharp enough. Exchange successful. The dagger immediately appeared in Lin Tian's hand. Instantly, his energy and speed were boosted. A blue aura began to radiate from his body. Goblin Lin Tian muttered to himself. This dagger's sharp. The quality of goblin weapons is all over the place. But as long as it can do some damage, it's enough to kill. A moment later, Lin Tian suddenly remembered something. He turned and asked the system, "Oh right, where's Celia? What happened to her?" Information on Celia's status appeared because you were reborn into this host. The timeline has been altered. In this new timeline, Celia was never captured by the goblins. She is still living happily in her village. Hearing this, Lin Tian froze for a few seconds, a wave of relief washing over him. He lowered his head, a faint smile touching his lips as he thought of the poor girl. A shadow crossed Lin Tian's eyes. The weight of his guilt over his former companion finally lifted. He thought to himself, "I see. So, in a way, I've already kept my promise to Celia. If that's the case, then there's nothing holding me back anymore." With that, Goblin Lin Tian turned and sprinted toward the cave entrance. A new resolve burned within him. He thought, "I have to escape, and I have to live. This is a narrow path, and the entrance is small. The guard must be pretty weak." Outside the cave entrance, 2 soldiers from the Sacred Legion stood guard. One covered his mouth and muttered to the other, "God, these goblins are disgusting." The other man replied, his arms crossed, "Just deal with it. This is an easy post. Can't complain." Near the entrance, Lin Tian listened intently to the sounds outside. He realized, "I hear voices." Lin Tian crept closer to the mouth of the cave, where sunlight streamed in. He held the dagger ready in one hand, bracing his other hand against the cave wall. He peeked outside. A bored soldier was squatting on the ground. He was grumbling. "This cave entrance is tiny. Any goblin that makes it out is just the weakest of the weak. I could kill one with a single blow." Then he spoke to the other man, who was leaning against the wall. "Don't you forget, the Lord gave us clear orders. If any girl comes running out of here, you kill her on sight. We can't let word of this get back to the village." The other soldier replied, annoyed, "I know. Yeah, I know. You talk too much." Listening from the shadows, Lin Tian heard them, and his mind raced. That damned Sacred Legion. Just to hold on to their power. They'd even kill their own innocent people without a second thought. Never mind a goblin like me. At that moment, Lin Tian pinched his nose. He steeled himself. "I have to risk it." Then, he imitated a girl's voice to lure the 2 soldiers. He cried out in a high-pitched voice, "Help me. I'm a girl from Bright Light Town. The goblins captured me." The 2 guards heard the voice and whipped their heads toward the cave, startled. One of them exclaimed, "Someone actually showed up." The other soldier, his hand on his sword, sounded pleased. "If we kill the one that got away, the Lord will definitely reward us." The first soldier hid his dagger behind his back and started toward the cave entrance. He crouched down, putting on a friendly face, and called into the darkness, "Come on out. Don't be afraid. We're from the Order of Knights. We're here to take you home." Before the soldier could finish his sentence, Lin Tian struck. The wet thud of the dagger echoed from the cave. The remaining soldier outside jumped in shock. Our goblin, Lin Tian, was now far braver than he had ever been before. He takes a stance with his dagger, his presence far more powerful than before. His eyes are piercing sharp. He swings the dagger with all his might. At the guard before him, a perfect form. "Come on, human." The goblin's revenge has officially begun. Lin Tian takes down one of them. The guard's body staggers forward, swaying. Seeing his comrade's strange behavior, the other guard approaches with his sword drawn, moving toward where the goblin, Lin Tian, had struck his partner. He grumbles as he walks. "What are you loafing around for? Get a move on." Seeing that the other guard still had no idea what was happening, our Lin Tian cracks a faint, cold smile. He quickly uses the dead guard's body, ramming it toward the other man. The remaining guard sees this and screams in a panic. What's going on?" A moment later, Goblin Lin Tian flings his arm. The guard's corpse is sent flying. Swift as the wind, Lin Tian lunges at the sword-wielding guard. All that can be seen is the furious, crimson glow of his eyes. He raises his dagger high, ready to slash down. The guard, caught completely off guard, can only stammer. A goblin. Slash. A long, deep gash is carved across the guard's body. He screams in agony. Ugh. AR. And then he collapses. His body slams hard against the ground. He's not dead yet. The guard is grievously wounded. He can only scramble backward, trying to get away from Lin Tian's dagger. He says in astonishment, You can speak." But then, in an instant, his attitude completely changes. He shifts his posture and falls to his knees. He pleads desperately with Goblin Lin Tian, begging for his life. "Please spare me. I'm begging you, please let me live. Lin Tian hesitates for a moment. Seeing that Goblin Lin Tian still hadn't struck, the guard pulls out a locket with a picture of his wife and daughter. He holds it out in front of Lin Tian. His face is pale with terror as he pleads. I have a family. I have a daughter. They're waiting for me at home. He senses that Lin Tian is wavering and still hasn't moved to kill him. The guard, still clutching the locket, bows his head even lower. He presses the emotional appeal, pleading, "You're smart. You have to understand, right? I was just following orders from the Holy Order. They forced me to come here." Lin Tian's expression grows grim. He remains silent. He doesn't say a word. A flicker of his human compassion still remains. Taking his silence as encouragement, the guard continues to spin his honeyed words. "I'll give you a bag of gold. Yes, and a girl. I'll give you a beautiful, young maiden, fresh for the taking. Think about it. Everything I'm offering is a great deal for you." While speaking, he slowly reaches a hand behind his back. He tightly grips the dagger hidden at his waist. Sensing Goblin Lin Tian's hesitation, the guard thinks to himself. He's distracted. He whips the dagger out and lunges forward, aiming to stab Lin Tian. He screams, "You stupid animal. Now die." Blood splatters everywhere, but it's gushing from the guard's own throat. Even at the moment of his death, he cannot believe he lost. The guard's body crumples to the ground. The small goblin Lin Tian had moved with lightning speed, slicing the guard's neck before the man could even make his move. Lin Tian spins in a single, fluid motion, flinging the blood from his blade. The locket, the family photo, and the guard's dagger lie forgotten at Lin Tian's feet. After finishing off the two guards from the Holy Order, dust settles at his feet. Lin Tian stands in somber silence. He turns his head away. A moment later, from a path at the edge of the woods, a loud shout rang out. The clash of swords drew Lin Tian's attention. He turned, listening intently. He could hear voices from afar. Lin Tian knew instantly. That was Lorder's voice. They've caught up. A scowl crossed Lin Tian's face. Without a second thought, he grabbed the guard by the back of his collar and stripped him of his uniform. He vanished down another path as the evening sun cast its long shadows. By the time Commander Lorder and the Saintess Evely arrived, they saw their men lying dead on the ground. The commander immediately went to inspect them. The blood was still fresh. Lorder looked at the blood on his hand, puzzled. What happened here? Did a goblin slip through the cracks? Nearby, Evely stood with her arms crossed, gazing at the dead guards. A goblin that can kill both of them? Must be a mutated type. It seems she already knew a thing or two about Lin Tian's unique goblin race. The commander replied with a grim expression. It has to be a mutation. Letting it get away like this. This is a bad omen. With that, he shot to his feet. He kicked the guard's corpse, flipping it over. He cursed them, even in death. Can't even handle one mutated goblin. Utterly useless. Evely, however, seemed to have lost all humanity. She shrugged, bringing her hands up to her cheeks. Her hands cupped her face. Her tongue darted out, licking her lips hungrily. A mutated goblin. This is going to be so much fun. At the mention of the creature, her inhuman demeanor twisted into a rabid, lustful craze. The woman struck a strange pose, her mind filled with dark thoughts. If I can catch it, I'm going to play with it until I'm completely satisfied. Finally, the sun disappeared below the horizon. Night fell, covering the forest. Beneath the sprawling canopy of the trees, Lin Tian, the goblin, had changed into the guard's uniform. After killing the two humans, he had gained more energy and experience points. By now, Lin Tian's appearance was much closer to that of a human. He even looked a little handsome. He lay back against the ground, a dagger still clutched tightly in his hand. He let out a soft sigh of relief. Finally made it. He produced an apple from somewhere and took a large, satisfying bite. He thought to himself as he ate, if you all hate goblins so much, so be it. I'll just have to deal with you the goblin way. A goblin's nature is to evolve through mating and consumption, leveling up my own stats, while breeding a stronger next generation and expanding my power. Lin Tian then covered one side of his face with his hand. The thought of Lorder and Evely brought a look of pure hatred to his eyes. He made a solemn vow to himself. In this life, I will make every man live in a nightmare. and make every woman moan beneath my feet. Suddenly, a strange rustling sound came from the nearby bushes. Lin Tian sensed something was wrong. He quickly pulled the hood of his cloak over his head. He glanced toward the bushes, thinking, "Don't tell me Lorder's people are still hunting me?" He saw an unfamiliar figure emerge from the brush. It was also wearing a hooded cloak. Lin Tian's mind raced. Strike first and seize the advantage. He shot forward, lunging at the figure. Dagger held tight. The cloaked person saw Lin Tian suddenly charge at them with a knife. They trembled in fear and cried out, "Who's there?" In their panic, the person tripped over a rock and fell backward. As they fell, their hood slipped off, revealing. It was a girl, and her skin was the same green as a goblin's. Lin Tian was stunned. He realized, as he looked at the person before him, that she shared many of the same traits as him. He blurted out, "A goblin? And she can talk?" The goblin girl lay on the ground, her legs sticking straight up in the air. Realizing it wasn't who he thought, Lin Tian lowered his guard. He let out a sigh of relief. Then his eyes shot wide open in surprise at the sight of a female goblin. The appearance of this goblin girl was almost disarmingly sweet. She stumbled and fell backward, unintentionally showing off her well-defined figure and adorable face to Lin Tian. It was the first time he'd ever seen a female goblin. Goblin Lin Tian couldn't help but wonder, why? Does it have female characteristics? As far as I know, goblins are only male. That's why they can only reproduce by mating with other creatures. The goblin girl scrambled to sit up. She trembled as Lin Tian loomed over her, his expression grim. Please don't hurt me. I just came to get some water." Lin Tian's face remained a cold, hard mask as he stared down at her. He thought to himself, what's going on? How can this goblin speak in complete sentences? The system panel materialized in Lin Tian's vision, displaying the goblin girl's information. Lesser goblin. Level 3. Race. Goblin. Class. Divine messenger. Titles. Female goblin. Fallen deity. Pure soul. Divine blessing. Health 10. Mana 2. Defense 1. Skill. Gene devour. Wild growth. Equipment. None. Overall 10. If a male goblin combines with a female goblin, the male goblin will evolve into the legendary goblin god. After reading the system information, Goblin Lin Tian was completely stunned. What? If I combine with her, I could become a goblin god? Lin Tian moved in even closer to the female goblin. He stroked his chin, deep in thought. So, she's the one, the female goblin. Seeing the male goblin get so close, the female goblin grew nervous. She shrank back, terrified of what he might do to her. To avoid any trouble, the female goblin decided to tell him everything. Clasping her hands together, she sat on the ground, trembling uncontrollably as she spoke. I was sent here by the chieftain to get water. If I don't bring any back, the chieftain will beat me to death. Sob. Hearing this, Lin Tian's voice softened. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. He gently patted her shoulder, trying to soothe her. There. It's okay. Don't cry anymore. The goblin girl was like a little puppy. She timidly nuzzled against Lin Tian's hand. Seeing that he meant no harm, the girl slowly crept closer to him. Lin Tian glanced around them. He whispered to her, "If you keep crying, I'm afraid you'll attract Lorder's men." By now, the female goblin was right in front of his face. Her eyes widened with curiosity as she asked Lin Tian, "You can talk?" Lin Tian replied shyly, "Oh, of course." Inside, he was thinking, that's right. Normal goblins can't speak this fluently. She probably doesn't get to talk to her own tribe members much, either. A moment later, Lin Tian stood up to leave, but the female goblin tugged on the hem of his shirt. With her head lowered shyly, she spoke. "You're really kind. The other goblins just hit and yell at me. This is the first time anyone has ever treated me like this. If you don't have anywhere else to go, maybe you could come back to the tribe with me?" It seemed the female goblin had really taken a liking to Lin Tian. He looked at her, feeling a little flustered himself. His expression shifted to one of surprise. He jumped back. Then a wide, gleeful grin spread across his face. He grabbed the female goblin by the shoulders and shouted as if he'd just found a needle in a haystack. "For real? There's a goblin tribe nearby?" A thought flashed through Lin Tian's mind. I still don't know if Lorders men are chasing me. This is no time for mating. Right now, the most urgent task is to find a safe place. Ever since she'd come to understand life in this world, this was the first time this female goblin had been so close to a male. Feeling the large hands of the goblin Lin Tian on her shoulders, her face flushed red, standing before him. The young female goblin's heart seemed to be racing out of control. Her eyes, wide and round, stared at Lin Tian as she stammered. Yes, I'll take you there. At that moment, a predatory, almost inhuman smile spread across Lin Tian's face. His mind was already scheming. I was just worrying about where to recruit some subordinates. His voice dropped to a low tone. With a cunning smile, he said, "Then lead me to your tribe." The scene changes to the female goblin's tribe. In the darkness of the night, dozens of conical huts of all sizes glowed from within. Lin Tian and the female goblin arrived. Sensing a strange presence, goblins emerged from their huts to investigate. One, then two, then a whole crowd of them. Armed with crude spears, they surrounded Lin Tian, their eyes filled with curiosity. Why is he wearing human clothes? Hiv. Never seen a freak like this before. Hiv. And that other freak brought him here. Even though this was her home, the female goblin cowered behind Lin Tian in fear. The goblin Lin Tian's expression turned serious. He thought cautiously. The number of goblins in this tribe is quite impressive. Time to begin. Standing in the middle of the low-level goblins, he announced loudly, "I've come to join you. Please, take me to your leader." The goblins glared, tightening their grips on their spears. The female goblin clung tightly to Lin Tian's arm, her eyes wide with fear. The goblins' eyes, every single one of them was bloodshot. They kept making that guttural sound. A chaotic chatter rose among them. But their spear tips never wavered from Lin Tian. One of them sneered. "That weirdo from the outside wants to see the boss." Another one shot back. "The boss? Who does he think he is?" The one in charge made the call. Hiv. "Seize him first. Then we'll take him to the boss." Seems these goblins are smarter than the ones from Lin Tian's old cave. Hearing that the goblin Lin Tian was about to be captured, the female goblin behind him summoned all her courage. She squeezed her eyes shut and screamed, "He's not a bad person. Don't hurt him." Then she quickly spread her arms, standing protectively in front of him. The commotion must have finally reached the tribe's leader. A powerful voice boomed out, making Lin Tian jump. "What's all this commotion about?" Lin Tian finally saw him, the boss. He was immediately struck by the staff the goblin held, a gruesome thing adorned with the skulls, bones, and fangs of massive beasts. Despite this, our goblin Lin Tian remained perfectly confident, showing no sign of fear. Even with a massive goblin standing before him, he was completely different from the smaller ones. He was bigger, his ears were bigger, his nose was longer, and he had a six-pack, not a one-pack. The system interface immediately displayed the creature's information before Lin Tian. Great Goblin. Level 25. Race, Goblin. Class, Tier 4. Titles: Breeding Machine, Wily Old Devil, Divine Blessing. HP, 102. Energy, 29. Defense, 17. Gene Node Skill. Summon. Thorn Vine Control. Equipment: Skull Summon. Bone Chain. Synthesis, 200. A large, ferocious goblin hobbled out, leaning on a skull-topped staff. It roared, baring its sharp fangs. "Who's making all that noise?" Lin Tian's eyes narrowed with caution. This wasn't what he expected. He'd assumed these goblins were the same low-level grunts he'd dealt with before. But he'd run right into a high-level opponent. He narrowed his eyes, thinking, in a tribe like this, to think there's a goblin this high level. The goblin leader pointed his skull staff at Lin Tian, then glanced at the goblin girl. "You brought an outsider. Back here?" The goblin girl stammered. I brought him here." He had nowhere else to go. Lin Tian remained on high alert. The lesser goblins were poised to attack, just waiting for their leader's command to tear Lin Tian to shreds. As soon as she finished speaking, the goblin leader threw his head back and cackled with glee. His eyes were bloodshot and bulging, his drooling mouth a disgusting sight. He immediately pointed his skull staff right at Lin Tian and roared, "Kill it, then we feast." On this monster, one of them lunged forward, shoving the goblin girl to the ground. He laughed maniacally. "Gaha, This is great. Another charged at Lin Tian, spear first. It drooled, gloating. Gaha! We got fresh meat. Then the whole mob joined in. Gaha! Eat it. Eat. In the middle of the chaos, Lin Tian reached behind his back and drew his dagger. His only weapon. Lin Tian held the iron dagger out, looked the goblin leader dead in the eye, and declared firmly, "Wait, I know how to make weapons. Let me join your tribe. I can make you all stronger." The moment he heard the word weapons, the leader raised a hand, ordering his minions to halt. He stalked closer to Lin Tian. Lin Tian did his best to hold the dagger defensively in front of his chest. This was incredibly dangerous. He was only a few levels in, facing a level 25 goblin. Lin Tian stood frozen. He remained perfectly still, letting the goblin leader get right up in his face. The goblin pressed its sharp, boil-covered nose against Lin Tian's chin. Its bloodshot eyes bored into him menacingly. "You don't have the stench of a liar on you. So speak. What kind of weapons can you make?" It seemed the leader was convinced. With the goblin leader's attention secured, Lin Tian didn't hesitate to lay out his plan to forge weapons for the tribe. His expression was confident. He spoke clearly. "If we can find iron ore, I can forge simple iron weapons. Just give me time. I can make more than just this little thing in my hand. I can forge weapons far stronger than this one." The goblin leader was captivated, hanging on Lin Tian's every word. As for Lin Tian, he thought to himself, "This goblin can actually speak in complete sentences." It seems the higher a goblin's level, the more intelligent it is. Seeing the other goblins stare greedily at his weapon, their eyes fixated on the small dagger in his hand, Lin Tian pressed his advantage with the leader. "Once this tribe has iron weapons, whether you face animals or humans, you'll be able to win every time. These goblins really are simple-minded. All they want are iron weapons so they could fight humans. They thought they could conquer anything." At these words, they all erupted in a chaotic cheer. "Hith hith. With iron weapons, we won't have to fear humans. This is great. We'll get to eat meat." One by one, they each shouted out their base desires. "Compared to humans, hith hith. I like apes better." Another one yelled, "With iron, we can go north. Gaha. And mate with the elves." The goblin leader then grabbed Lin Tian's hand. His attitude completely changed. He was no longer hostile towards Lin Tian. His expression softened as he spoke to him. "I'll give you a chance. Find iron ore within 3 days. Forge it into weapons, and I'll let you live." Then his face darkened. He continued, his voice a low growl. "But if you can't, you'll die." He pointed a sharp finger at the female goblin, his voice booming with threat. "And so will this bitch." With that, he let out a loud laugh. "Ha ha ha." Then he quickly turned and headed back to his tent. His goblin underlings scurried after him. The one on the left scratched its butt as it followed. Finally, things had settled down. Lin Tian gently knelt beside the female goblin. He softly comforted her, helping her to her feet. Meanwhile, Lin Tian's mind was racing. This guy is truly vicious. When he gets mad, he won't even spare his own kind. Lin Tian had to figure out how to deal with him in the coming days. "With my current strength, I can't fight him head on. I'll just make the iron weapons. It'll buy me time to get stronger." The next day, the entire goblin mob searched for iron ore until nightfall. The moon was full and bright. The piercing cries of crows echoed through the terrifyingly dark forest. Lin Tian led the group. After walking all day, they were exhausted. The female goblin, being weaker, had fallen behind. The petite female goblin dragged herself along, clutching her spear. Step by weary step, she was panting heavily. Sweat dripped down her face. She whispered weakly, "Wait for me. We've been walking all day. I don't have any strength left." Without a word, a green foot slammed right into the female goblin. These creatures had no sense of mercy. It kicked her brutally all over her body. Its mouth roared, "Hith hith, get the hell up. You useless piece of trash. If we don't find iron ore, I'll beat you to death." The girl lay curled up on the ground, able only to endure the other goblin's kicks. She begged in pain, "Ack, it hurts. Please stop. I won't do it again." Seeing this, the two goblins nearby joined in, landing a few more blows on the girl. They were getting more and more out of control. "Hith hith, this lazy bitch is asking to die. Let's kill her." Overwhelmed by pain, the goblin girl was curled into a tight ball. Suddenly, a large rock, it made him jump. It rubbed its bald head, grinding its teeth and glaring at Lin Tian. The others also stopped their attack on the female goblin, having just beaten the goblin with a large rock. Lin Tian reprimanded them in a stern voice. I told you to come along to help, to find iron ore, not to pick fights. He paused, his face grim. He issued a warning to the stupid goblins. I've already told you what iron ore looks like. If you want to live, go to that valley up ahead and find me some. Now move, or else. Right then, Lin Tian pulled a dagger from the back of his waistband. He held it out in front of him. His eyes stared them down. His face was filled with killing intent. As he shouted, "You're all going to die." Hearing those words, the ugly goblins trembled in fear. They scattered, running for their lives in search of iron ore. One of them cried out, "He's got an iron weapon. Hiv, hiv, hiv. Let's get out of here," still running their mouths, leaving behind a few parting threats. "Oomph. Damn you. Just wait until I find some iron. The boss won't let you get away with this." The girl, her face bruised and battered, sat slumped on the ground, breathing a sigh of relief as she watched them flee. As for Lin Tian, hearing the other goblin's words, his expression darkened. The arrogant attitude he'd shown just moments before was gone. He thought to himself, they're right. Even if I can craft iron tools, I'll be killed sooner or later. Tucking the knife back into the hem of his clothes, Lin Tian glanced down at the female goblin, who was sobbing. She kept rubbing her eyes, trying to wipe the tears away. Just then, a system notification appeared before Lin Tian. If a male goblin and a female goblin unite, the male goblin will become the legendary goblin god. A storm of complex emotions brewed within Lin Tian. He had been a modern human, after all. His way of thinking was completely different from this world's. He, too, longed for a beautiful romance. But in this world, he had to get stronger just to survive. And for the race he was so unlucky to be reincarnated as. Mating was the only path to power and survival. In a new world, survival has to come first. He thought, it's time I started thinking about how to get stronger. The goblin girl just kept crying. She was huddled on the ground, covered in dirt, and constantly wiping her tears. Looking at her pitiful state, Lin Tian finally spoke. Hey, don't cry anymore. After his comforting words, he moved closer, even kneeling down in front of her, mustering all his courage. This was the first time Lin Tian had ever been so close to a female goblin. He placed a hand on her cheek and gently wiped away a tear with his thumb, looking straight into her eyes. He said, will you do something for me? From now on, just stay with me. I'll protect you. I'll make sure you have meat to eat and a warm place to live. No one will dare to bully you ever again. Hearing these words from Lin Tian, the girl was stunned. Her eyes widened as she stared at him. Blushing, she replied, oh really? Seeing her hesitation, Lin Tian's expression turned earnest as he said, resolutely, of course. I'm a goblin of my word. But we're too weak right now. If we want to stop being bullied, I need your help to get stronger. The female goblin had spent her whole life among the foolish goblin horde. Her existence had been nothing but misery. So when she heard Lin Tian promise to feed her and to protect her, the small goblin immediately placed her trust in him. She looked at Lin Tian with innocent eyes and asked, How? How can we get stronger? Lin Tian seized the opening. With a serious look on his face, he got straight to the point. You just have to agree to have my children. That's how I can become stronger. Hearing this, the little goblin seemed to understand. Her face grew redder and redder, until it felt like it was on fire. The goblin girl covering her mouth with her hands. You can really get stronger that way? But I've never. Lin Tian couldn't hide his own embarrassment. He lowered his head, letting the shadow of his hood fall over his face. Hiding his own blush, he said, it's okay, as long as you agree. Before he could finish his sentence, Lin Tian moved in a flash. The goblin girl's eyes flew wide open. A strange light filled them. Unable to wait any longer, Lin Tian leaned in and kissed her. The two of them melted into one another, lost in a passionate embrace. All right, for those of you catching up, let's just say things got a little intense. And it's about to get even hotter. Seizing the moment, Lin Tian pushed the female goblin down onto the hay. Their fingers intertwined. After a passionate kiss, the female goblin was more than willing to give her first time to Lin Tian. She panted and said, I want you to become stronger. She opened her arms, welcoming him, and blushed as she continued. Please, please, let me help you create this treasure. I think you all know what's about to happen next. A strange expression crossed the female goblin's face, as if she felt something. Ping, a system notification appeared. When a host and a goblin have a total of 7 children, aptitude will be upgraded to maximum level. The female goblin's expression intensified. She winced and cried out as another system notification popped up. Due to maximum level aptitude, the following stats have been acquired. Attack +9, HP +100, defense +10. 2 exhausting hours later, the male protagonist, Lin Tian, was panting heavily. Sweat dripped from his body, a testament to his hard work. He was completely soaked. Just then, the system displayed a status screen, showing the changes to Lin Tian the Goblin. Small Goblin. Level 7- Level 17. Race, Goblin. Class, None. Title, Demonic Beast. Low Tier, Blasphemer. Divine Blessing. God of Creation. HP, 40. Energy, 10. Defense, 9. Skill, Gene Devourer. Equipment, none. Overall power, 65. A new wave of power surged through Lin Tian's entire body. He stared at his hands, now brimming with spiritual energy, and marveled. It's not just my level. My entire form has evolved. It wasn't just an upgrade in power and techniques, but my physical and biological strength as well. Lin Tian's goblin form looked much more impressive. His muscles were now ripped and defined. He thought to himself, this means my chances of defeating the goblin priest just got a lot better. When it was all over, Lin Tian picked up a cloak. He draped it over the female goblin and spoke to her gently. From now on, you're my woman. I'll protect you for the rest of my life. The female goblin was still weak from their encounter. Leaning into Lin Tian's embrace, she whispered, Lin Tian, you're so good to me. The atmosphere was intoxicatingly sweet, but their tender moment didn't last long. The voice of the goblin who'd gone searching for iron or returned. He was screaming at the top of his lungs. Help! Somebody help me! Startled, they both whipped their heads toward the sound of the cries. They saw the goblin clutching a piece of, or for dear life. With his eyes squeezed shut, he sprinted and shrieked in terror. Wolf! Gasp! There's a werewolf! Right behind him was a massive wolf. It was enormous. This was no ordinary wolf. Its entire body pulsed with a brilliant purple aura. Its eyes were bloodshot. It relentlessly bared its fangs, chasing down the foolish goblin. Looking closer, Lin Tian noticed the iron ore in the fleeing goblin's hand. A thought crossed his mind. So he actually found iron ore, but he brought back a little nuisance with it. His expression instantly shifted from surprise to battle-ready. Lin Tian whipped out his dagger, his face hardening as he spoke to the female goblin behind him in a warm tone. Wait here for me. Hearing this, the female goblin behind him was completely smitten. A thrill ran through her. She looked at him with a bashful expression and said, Lin Tian, you have to be careful. The situation was critical. The wolf's massive, fang-filled maw was about to clamp down on the goblin. He ran for his life, but it wasn't fast enough. He glanced back, his face a mask of pure terror. In a flash, Lin Tian dashed forward. He launched himself into the air and, with a powerful, the wolf howled in pain from the surprise attack. Its head was thrown back by the force of the blow. Its mouth was still wide open, but now it was from agonizing pain. The small goblin, still clutching the iron ore, watched in horror as Lin Tian charged forward, with just a single stab of his dagger. A wolf 10 times the size of a goblin collapsed to the ground. A heavy thud echoed as Lin Tian stood over the body. The little goblin was stunned. With that minor problem dealt with, Lin Tian turned to the small goblin. The goblin felt Lin Tian's overwhelming and powerful aura. He was incredibly fierce. It stood there clutching the iron ore, trembling from head to toe. Lin Tian said only one thing. Good job. Now give me that iron ore. The goblin was no longer as stubborn as before. Its fear was plain to see. With both hands, it offered the iron ore to him. As he got a closer look at it with his own eyes, Lin Tian's face lit up. He smiled as he gave an order. The purity is decent. Find more and bring it back. When I return, I'll forge weapons for all of you. A stark contrast to before. His presence now radiated absolute confidence. The goblin was completely flustered, able to do nothing more than nod and agree repeatedly. The next morning, deep in the forest, a plume of white smoke rose in the distance. Looking at the item being forged, Lin Tian spoke with satisfaction. This should do it. The surrounding goblins scrambled forward, crowding around to see. Hith hith. He actually made it. It looks so strange. Will it really work? The sharp spearhead plunged deep into the wolf skull. Seeing is believing. This was more than enough proof for these low-level goblins of whether his creation was useful or not. Amidst the astonished gasps of the goblins and their chieftain, Lin Tian he announced boldly, "Have you all seen enough? This is a weapon I forged myself from the iron ore." One of the goblins who had gone with him to find the ore quickly ran forward. Pointing at him, he shouted, "He's not lying. He used a weapon to kill the direwolf. He's the one who saved us." Hearing this, the entire goblin mob erupted in cheers. "Ha ha, he can really make weapons. That iron spear is way better than a stone one. He he, says Thron." After the crowd's roaring praise, Lin Tian immediately held the spear high. He stood tall, looking down on the low-level goblins like a true leader. He yelled, "Do you want these or not?" Every single goblin surged toward the spear, their eyes filled with greed and ambition. They all rushed toward Lin Tian, chanting, "We want them! We want them! Hith hith! We want them!" From a distance, the chieftain watched his underlings flock to Lin Tian, looking at him with the same reverence they would a superior. Even though his minions weren't very bright, their survival instincts were strong. They would always gravitate toward whatever was stronger, whatever was better. With the way things were going, the chieftain could see that Lin Tian was the greatest threat to his position. And as chieftain, his mind was certainly sharper than his followers. He slammed his club on the ground. Thud! The entire goblin crowd flinched, looking fearfully at their leader. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light as he smirked at Lin Tian. He said, "So you really weren't lying. You actually can make weapons." Though he spoke with a smile, everyone felt the air around them grow cold. The crowd fell silent, not daring to make a sound. As a leader, he was a quick thinker. He immediately bared his teeth in a cunning smile, his eyes glinting slyly at Lin Tian. "But if you want to stay here, it's not that simple. You have 2 days to make 50 more weapons just like that." With that, he turned and walked away. His teeth were grinding in anger. Hearing this, the surrounding goblins, even with their simple minds, could tell something was wrong. One of them, standing nearby, muttered, "Ha! Why is the chief being as nasty as a human?" The purple-headed goblin, whose life Lin Tian had saved, immediately ran up to him. "Hith hith, to make that many weapons. Mr. Lin, I can help." Hearing this, Lin Tian lowered his head. He said nothing, hiding his expression. Not long after the chieftain had left, he raised an eyebrow and smirked as he watched the man's retreating back. Time flew by. The day of the deal arrived. Thud! A whole rack of weapons, finished just as he promised the chieftain. Lin Tian had what the man wanted. The goblins' faces lit up like it was a festival. They leaped into the air, shouting, "Lin Tian! Lin Tian! Lin Tian! Lin Tian! Yeah, Lin Tian!" He saw the pile of weapons right before him, then saw his underlings cheering for Lin Tian like he was some kind of god. Meanwhile, he, their chieftain, was being completely ignored. I thought I'd make things difficult for him, teach him a lesson he'd never forget. Damn it all. But he actually fucking did it. That's what he thought, but on the outside, he had to keep a smile on his face. He spoke. "To think you actually managed to do it. Very good." Raising his staff high, he faced his underlings and roared, "Tonight, we feast. Let's celebrate Lin Tian joining us." The whole tribe erupted in cheers at the exciting news. They joyfully grabbed their new weapons, howling with glee. Hey, yeah, this is great. In stark contrast to the cheerful mood, Lin Tian didn't say a word. He just stood there. And so, the goblins gathered more wood for the fire. They roasted a wild boar to celebrate. The meat, golden brown. The delicious aroma alone was enough to make your mouth water. Goblin eagerly took a piece of meat and brought it to Lin Tian. Her face was flushed red. She looked at him and said, "Lin Tian, the priest has agreed to let you stay." But Lin Tian's expression remained indifferent. He showed no sign of happiness whatsoever. He just grunted in response. Then he took the meat she offered and bit into it. Suddenly, as if he sensed something, his eyes shot wide open. His pupils constricted. Veins bulged on his face. A wave of pain hit him, forcing him to clench his jaw shut. Feeling suffocated, as if someone was strangling him, he collapsed to the ground. Seeing this, Goblin immediately panicked. She asked anxiously, "Lin Tian, what's wrong?" She was incredibly worried about him, trying to help him back up. Suddenly, another goblin appeared. A triumphant laugh echoed out. It was the priest, the chieftain of this goblin tribe. "Haha, how foolish. And here I thought you were so clever. You outsider, did you really think I couldn't see your ambition? Daring to challenge my authority as the priest. Death is your only way out." With that, he reached out his claw and snatched Goblin. He grabbed her by the hair and said, "You seem to care about him a great deal, don't you?" Facing the priest, Goblin endured the sharp pain on her scalp, not daring to fight back or scream, because she knew this creature was completely merciless. Screaming would only make her death more horrific. Then, he laughed again and said, "Well then, you can enjoy the show as this traitor gets his head cut off by a blade you yourself made." His sharp claws slowly pressed against her neck. Hearing what the priest said, Goblin couldn't hold back her tears. She looked toward Lin Tian, her eyes filled with worry. The priest roared with a sneer. "Let's see if you can still look so smug. In front of me now." The scent of blood filled the air. In that moment, it felt as if time stood still and her heart stopped beating. Goblin's eyes went wide. She could feel her life slipping away, reaching its end. Slash. Those sharp claws descended like the Grim Reaper's scythe. But in a split second, the tables had turned. Lin Tian, who they thought in his hand was a razor-sharp blade. With lightning speed, he had severed the priest's hand. It fell to the ground with a wet thud. Goblin, who had fallen hard, was too stunned to even react. She could only stare, utterly shocked by what was happening before her eyes. The goblins could only stand there dumbfounded, watching the scene unfold. The priest clutched his arm in agony. His arm, gritting his teeth. He glared at Lin Tian, his eyes like daggers. He screamed, "You? How could you?" Lin Tian raised an eyebrow. Blade in hand, he looked at the priest as if he were already a dead man. He chuckled. "Hith, hith. You're the real fool here, you nasty old man. So damn treacherous." As for the priest's little stunt, he just scoffed in contempt. "Oomph. The system told me you were going to poison me. A long time ago. I was just playing along." The priest, now missing an arm, lowered his head. His entire body radiated a deathly aura. He furiously ripped the necklace from around his neck. Wielding the skull as a weapon, he prepared to smash it down on Lin Tian. He roared, "I'll kill you." Seeing his move, Lin Tian quickly took a defensive stance, holding his blade up to block. Perhaps it was the agony from his severed hand, but the priest's movements had slowed considerably. As he charged, Lin Tian simply sidestepped, easily dodging the blow. But before the priest could even recover from his missed attack, "Now's my chance." Lin Tian leaped up from behind, bringing his blade down in one swift, clean strike. The priest realized the danger lurking behind him. A look of pure panic filled his eyes. But it was too late to fight back. The blade sliced through him like butter, silencing any scream before it could escape. His eyes rolled back into his head. He was gone. The priest's head flew from his shoulders. Fresh blood sprayed everywhere. Under the full moon that night, a new chapter began for the goblin tribe. Thud! The priest's head landed on the ground. As the horrified goblins looked on, Lin Tian stood tall over the body, blade still in hand. He looked like the Grim Reaper himself. He took a step forward, then another. The goblins were scared out of their wits. They scrambled backward. Some even fell over themselves in terror, afraid they would be the next to die. Lin Tian shouted, "From this day forward, I am your new chief." At his words, the goblins trembled in fear, shaking uncontrollably. Not a single one dared to make sound. Then, Lin Tian roared again, "I will lead you to attack the elves and the humans." Hearing this, the goblins were utterly stunned. They could barely process what he'd said. He then walked over to GOP Mun and helped her to her feet. Once more, he raised his blade to the sky and yelled, "All the mates you can handle, and more meat than you can eat." As they say, a wise man knows which way the wind blows. Hearing exactly what they wanted to hear was all the motivation the goblins needed. Their loyalty switched in an instant. A primal roar erupted from the crowd. Ha ha ha! Chief! 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 Having achieved his goal, Lin Tian wasted no more time. He pointed a finger at the priest's corpse. There! He's all yours. Following his gesture, all the goblins turned their eyes in that direction. One of them, then two, and then the whole horde swarmed their former leader's corpse. They gleefully tore into the flesh, devouring every last bite. Lin Tian held GOP Mun, watching it all happen. As he stared at the gruesome scene before him, he simply furrowed his brow, his eyes holding a deep, unreadable expression. He smirked. Subjugating the goblin tribe is just the start of my revenge. Next, I'll have the elven clan raise the next generation of my own tribe and make them even stronger. Rustle. From the bushes behind, a figure appeared, observing their tribe. What's going on here? A hooded elf girl quietly observes the scene unfolding before her. The full moon shines down on the tribe. Elves, deep within the forest. A figure nimbly leaps over obstacles, heading for the highest level. Below, the heads of goblins are hung on display. Click! The figure lands on the upper level. An elf maiden rejoices, rushing out to greet her. Princess, you've returned. Seeing the elf princess heading toward the queen's chamber, the handmaiden quickly tries to stop her. Princess, please wait. The matriarch, she's currently, ignoring the handmaiden's pleas. Princess Cassina storms right toward the room. Out of the way. I have something to report. You really think you can stop me? She shoves the door open, shouting, Mother, I have something to report to you. In the enchanted forest to the east. Wait, something's not right. Who are all these shirtless guys? Oh, my God. What the hell is going on? I thought this was my mother's chamber, not some brothel. But the woman on the bed, that face, those long legs, and those two watermelons, there's no mistaking it. That's definitely my mother. She sees a shirtless male servant on her left and one on her right, another offering fruit, and another feeding her grapes. Behind her, another servant gives her a massage. Damn, she's totally a madam. Oh wait, no, that's my mom. Holy, talk about living large. Cassana's eyes go wide. Mortified, she stammers. Sorry, Mom, I just remembered I have something to do. I'll be going now. Oh God, a single tear falls. It's bad enough that I barged in, but to walk in on this? I'm so embarrassed I could just die. Enjoying the company of the handsome men around her. The elf queen notices Princess Cassana's arrival. She immediately signals for them to step aside. She gently pinches her temple, calling out to the princess. Wait, my child, you came rushing to me like this. What could be so urgent? Hearing her mother call her back, she immediately turns and says, I have an urgent report about the goblin tribe in the forest. Goblins? Seeing her daughter's serious expression, the elf queen remains nonchalant. She says lightly, Goblins, those low-level monsters. Weak and filthy. What kind of trouble could they possibly cause? In the elf queen's eyes, they're nothing more than insignificant, low-level creatures. Hardly worth mentioning. Seeing that her mother doesn't seem to believe her, Cassina immediately says, This morning, I found a carcass of a giant black bear in the enchanted forest. It had been picked clean. The scene showed signs of a hunt. The entire area was covered in goblin tracks. It looks like the work of the goblins from the enchanted forest. The giant black bear is supposed to be the most ferocious beast in that forest. In theory, there's no way goblins should be able to kill a monster of that caliber. After laying out everything she had investigated, she looked at her mother seriously. A few days ago, I even saw the goblin tribe's chief get killed by a younger goblin. The goblin's strange activity, it could have something to do with him. She had heard the entire report, but the queen remained utterly unfazed. With a voice full of contempt, she spoke. A new leader, you say? Then, as if a thought struck her, the queen stretched languidly on her bed. With a crook of her long, slender finger, she beckoned the beautiful elf closer. She looked at Cassana with a sly smile. It seems the goblin population in the forest has recovered. Just about. Cassana, take a few of our people and go deal with them. But this time, don't kill them all like you did before. Make sure to leave a few of them alive. She let out a soft chuckle, her wicked hand tracing the chiseled abs of the handsome elf beside her. Looking over at Cassana, her eyes filled with anticipation. A seductive smile played on her lips as she said, her voice dripping with excitement. We can use the goblin hearts to make tonics for the male elves in our tribe. Cassandra could only blush in embarrassment. Her face flushed beet red. She lowered her head and answered, "Yes, mother." Seeing her own daughter work so hard for the sake of the tribe, a mother simply must know how to spoil her child. The queen's eyes softened slightly. She said, her voice full of affection, "My sweet princess, you've worked so hard lately. Tonight, I'll reward you with a male elf. Is one enough? If not, there are always more." Cassandra was mortified, hearing her mother's words, and without even waiting for her to finish, she immediately turned bright red. With a look of sheer panic, she stammered, I still have to scout tonight. I'll report back if I find anything." With that, she practically fled from her mother's chambers. Her mother. Meanwhile, back in our hero's goblin tribe, beside the crackling fire, a crowd of goblins gathered around Lin Tion. On the ground before them lay a map made of branches. A goblin spoke up, "Boss, each branch represents a tree house. The Myriadwood Forest has about 30 elf tree houses. They're built way up high." As the purple-haired goblin scout finished his report on the enemy base, Lin Tion looked pleased. His eyes were full of approval. He said with a grin, "Excellent work. After we take down the elf tribe, I'll give you 2 of them as a reward. Now go tell the others to sharpen their weapons." Hearing he'd get 2 whole elves, the purple-haired goblin's eyes went wide. A look of pure ecstasy spread across his face as he shouted, "2 elves!" The promise of such a generous reward sent the whole crowd into a frenzy. Hiv, long live the boss." The purple-haired goblin wiped drool from the corner of his mouth and scurried off with a manic grin. Hiv, I'll go tell the boys to get their weapons ready right now." Watching his subordinates scuttle away, Lin Tion knew that with their level of intelligence, all you have to do is dangle the right bait. It never fails. He stared intently at the branches on the ground. 30 elf tree houses, assuming 2 elves per house. That's a total of 60 elves. He picked up a branch and examined it. Then, he continued his calculation. Add the 10 or so guarding the mine. That's at least 70 of them. In the time since Lin Tion had taken command of the goblin tribe, ever since the old shaman died, he had directed the goblins to forge weapons from iron ore and raise their ranks by slaying magical beasts. To make the tribe strong, you first have to raise a powerful army. It's a fundamental strategy. Lin Tion raised the spear in his hand high. He roared to his followers, "From now on, we will hunt the demonic beasts of this corrupted forest. Do you all understand?" The crowd responded in a roaring chorus. "Yeah, understood." Beneath the vast night sky, the whole horde heads into the forest, under the brilliant leadership of our goblin chieftain. In just a flash, the wild boar was defeated. Lin Tion panted for a few moments. Ding! The system chimed. Acquired skill, Tusk Attack. They entered the rock monster territory with a flawless strategy and perfect combat synergy from the squad. Ding! Ding! The system chimed. Acquired skill, Petrification. Defense plus 15. Goblin and Lin Tion always fought side by side in every battle. Even fierce beasts like leopards were no match for them. Acquired skill, Light-footed. Climbing. There's a saying, I might be weak, but my brothers have my back. Even a 2-headed beast couldn't stand against a horde of ravenous goblins. In an instant, it became a meal for the goblins. Acquired skill, Venom Secretion. With their natural-born instincts, the entire goblin tribe gained a ton of new skills, all thanks to the swallow ability. Everyone's level also increased. Leading this change was his subordinate, the purple-haired goblin. His avatar even showed off his bulging muscles. He's already level 18. Monster title, low rank, Divine Blessing, Beast Slayer. Health, 231. Energy, 29. Defense, 40. Skills, Swallow Gene. Bloodthirsty Wolf Instinct. Sharp Fangs. Venom. Combat Power, 250. Lin Tion thought about his plan to conquer the elf tribe and the data he had on them. The average combat power of a single elf was around 200. Then he thought about his own tribe. Lin Tion puffed out his chest, filled with pride. A wide grin spread across his face. My tribe's total combat power already surpasses the elves. As he was gleefully dreaming about his future empire, ding! The system lit up. Simulation system cooldown complete. Lin Tian happily read the text on the screen. He seemed to be pondering something. He said aloud, "But still, we're raiding the elves on their home turf. I have to be careful." He immediately shouted, "System, start simulation." Ding. The content appeared instantly. Goblin Life simulation initiated. Then, the content changed again. This time, it even had an illustration. Current scenario, the night before the raid. The Goblin chieftain, overconfident in his army's amplified strength, launches a raid on the elf tribe. He is absolutely certain of success. However, he is unaware that the elves have set an ambush. After leading the Goblin army into a deadly trap, he is captured by the Elf Queen and hanged in the Myriad Phenomena Forest. His body is displayed as a warning to the other goblins. Summary. You thought your plan was foolproof, but you were playing right into their hands. Score, 0 points. Max score, 100. Reward, none. After reading the simulation, Lin Tian's brow furrowed deeply. His gaze turned grim. So that's how it would have ended. Playing right into their hands, huh? Lin Tian shot to his feet. Seeing this, his followers immediately looked around defensively. With my followers' low stats, there's no way they could betray me. A result like this means there's only one possibility. Lin Tian immediately scanned his surroundings. The elves, they've been spying on our tribe. While his followers were still looking around, Lin Tian activated his goblin skills. In the next moment, waves of sound radiated out over a large area. A goblin's hearing and sense of smell are extremely sharp. If I just focus, I should be able to find a clue. There's something. His ear twitched. Once then again, from the nearby bushes, he could feel it. Silent gazes watching him. Found you. So you were hiding here listening in? The moon hung high in the sky. The very air of the night seemed to change. Rustle, hooded elves leaped through the canopy. Leading the group was the elven princess, Kana. Her expression was grim as she called out, "Those goblins are planning to attack the tribe again. I can't believe their settlement has changed so much in just a few days. We have to go back and report to Mother. Let's move." Her followers moved to obey, close behind her. They hadn't gone far when poisoned arrows came whistling through the air. Fwip, fwip. One of them struck the princess in the thigh. Pain shot through her as she lost her balance and fell. She let out a piercing scream. Ah! Finally, she hit the ground. Thud! After the fall, Kana felt her strength drain away, leaving her unable to move. Ha ha! I can't muster any strength. She looked around and saw that her entire entourage had been wiped out. Their bodies were scattered across the ground. A goblin shouted with glee. Boss! Boss, that was an amazing shot. Boss, it's a female elf. As the goblins drew closer, Kana tried to flee, but her body was completely powerless. My body feels so strange. Is this poison? This is it. I'm done for. Lin Tian approached. Seeing the situation, he broke into a grin. I didn't think it'd be this easy to catch you. He looked down at Kana from above. Lin Tian spoke. You showed up at the perfect time. Lin Tian gazed at Kana with a look of indifference. Take them all back. His subordinates roared in reply. Throw some water on her. Wake her up. A cascade of cold water came crashing down over her head. It forced Kana back to consciousness. Her eyes fluttered open. The boss is here. Hurry, hurry. Her awareness slowly sharpened. She was still dazed, unsure of what was happening. Then a hand reached out before her. It grabbed Kana's face, inspecting her like a piece of merchandise. A purple-haired goblin was practically buzzing behind them, eager to take credit. He rubbed his hands together gleefully. He licked his lips, staring at Kana with a ravenous hunger. Boss, a female elf. We saved this one special for you. Another goblin chimed in, fawning over him. We were just waiting for you to get here. A thought occurred to him. Lin Tian had a realization. So, the goblin venom has a special paralyzing and stimulating effect on females. This gives us a huge advantage against the matriarchal elven tribe. The sight of these goblins made Kana want to vomit. She lowered her head in fury and spat her words. You filthy creatures. How dare you kidnap me, a princess, and you even plot to attack our tribe? The elves. Then, in a burst of rage, she shot her head up, glaring at Lin Tian as she screamed. If it weren't for my mother's mercy, you wretched insects, would have been wiped from the face of this earth long ago. If you dare lay a single finger on me, my mother will not spare you. Huh. Lin Tian looked as if he'd just heard the funniest joke in his entire life. A cruel smirk played on his lips. He shoved Kana hard, sending her to the ground. He stood up, towering over her, looking down as if she were a clown. He said dismissively, "Oh, mercy? Interesting." She lost her balance. Kana fell to the ground. Mocking laughter echoed all around her. It was the goblins. Lin Tian just said calmly, "You know, the way you elves talk about goblins and the way our tribe talks about elves, I think we're talking about two very different things." With that, he pointed to his purple-haired underling. Here's my living proof." Then he continued, "My tribe may be stupid, but I know my people aren't bright. So don't you dare try to lie to me. It's obvious that you elves could wipe out every last goblin in this forest." Hearing this, Kana was startled. He's right. Mother did say to leave a few of them alive. But these things are usually so stupid. "Oh no," Lin Tian continued, "but there are still so many goblins living in this forest. That can't be just out of the kindness of your hearts, can it?" Kana was still in shock. Her body couldn't react in time. But she knew if this continued, nothing good would come of it. "You don't have to tell me why," Lin Tian said before she could respond. "I'll just take my tribe over to investigate tonight." With that, he gave her a knowing, sinister smile. "But before we do that, we have to take care of these bodies. These corpses can be used to strengthen my comrades' skills. We can't let them go to waste." Lin Tian turned back to his followers. "Take the bodies of the 2 dead elves and divide them amongst yourselves. Devour them and take their skills." Hearing this, his followers immediately erupted in joyous cheers. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Kana immediately cried out in terror. "What?" Lin Tian turned to Kana. He looked down on her and said coolly, "As for you." Then he slowly approached her. As Kana watched, her eyes filled with terror. She stumbled backward, step by step. Her body trembling, she begged Lin Tian, "No, don't. Please don't. Don't." A blood-curdling scream pierced the air, then faded into silence. A moment later, a system screen appeared. "Ding! Congratulations! You have reached max level plus 30. As your aptitude has reached the highest level, it has been converted into life value plus 50. Energy plus 10. Defense plus 10. Acquired elf skill, stealth. Acquired elf skill, night vision." Meanwhile, at the Elven tribe's settlement, the matriarch's private chamber was incredibly warm and intimate. A delicate male voice called out, "Matriarch, I can't go on." A sultry female voice, still unsatisfied, replied, "That's enough for today. We just run out of the potion anyway. It's such a shame. If I'd known, I would have had more goblins captured." The matriarch caressed the beauty in her arms with a look of pity. He was drenched in sweat. But this was not nearly enough to satisfy the matriarch's desires. It had been a while since Kana had left. The beauty serving her was already withered, lying on the bed, gasping for breath. Sensing something was amiss, the matriarch called out, "Hasn't Kana returned yet?" A guard knelt before her. He answered respectfully, "No, matriarch. Kana has been gone for some time now. Logically, she should have been back by now." The guard, looking extremely worried, proposed, "Matriarch, should we send someone to check on her? We could use the opportunity to kill more goblins and let our other warriors level up." Seeing that her daughter had not yet returned, and since the guard's words made sense, the matriarch rubbed her forehead. "Take some warriors to the goblin tribe and reinforce Kana." That girl, what could possibly be taking her so long? As she was lost in thought, a voice suddenly called out, "Your Cassandra won't be coming back today." The alert guard whipped around, his hand flying to the sword at his waist. He roared, "Who goes there?" The matriarch, on high alert, stared toward the sound. Asterisk thwip, thwip, asterisk. A flurry of arrows shot through the air. They pierced the guard, and he fell without a sound. The matriarch's eyes widened in horror as she watched the guard collapse. She snatched an arrow from the air and whipped her head toward the window, her face a mask of disbelief. The matriarch stammered, "A goblin." Lin Tian strolled casually into the room, followed by his 2 minions. His eyes were fixed on the matriarch. As he slowly approached, "I've already captured your Cassandra, and soon she'll be my body." "Why is it?" Lin Tian smirked, looking down at the pathetic matriarch at his feet. Even if you wanted to fight, your body wouldn't listen, would it? Huh, my body. As if explaining to a child, Lin Tian took a moment to let the matriarch understand her own pathetic state. The arrows I shot earlier were coated in goblin fluid. Once it makes contact, paralysis sets in quickly. So, I suggest you behave. She tried to muster all her strength, but her body was completely limp. The matriarch was finally beginning to grasp the reality of her situation. All she could manage was a curse. Damn you! Lin Tian grabbed the matriarch's chin, forcing her to look at him. He chuckled. I was outside. I heard you talking about leveling up to aphrodisiacs. So this is how the elves have been using goblins all along. I never knew my own people had such wondrous uses. But I bet you never imagined a day would come when a goblin would show up. To settle the score with you elves, did you? The matriarch's mind flashed back to Kasana's warning about a new goblin leader. He lifted her chin higher. Fear flooded the matriarch's eyes. Could this goblin be the leader Kasana was talking about? Suddenly, a cry echoed from outside. Kill him. Hith, hith. The matriarch frantically looked toward the window. What is that noise? Lin Tian said. Looks like we're running out of time. The purple-haired minion looked down at the chaos below. A cruel smile played on Lin Tian's lips. He effortlessly dragged the matriarch over to the window, forcing her to look down at the scene below. Now let's talk cooperation. The matriarch looked. Her face, drained of all color. Her eyes widened in absolute horror at what was happening below. The elves were screaming, engulfed in a sea of fire. Matriarch, help us. We don't want to be taken by the goblins. Bodies lay strewn across the ground. Goblins swarmed every corner of the elven village, their triumphant laughter echoing through the air. The matriarch screamed in anguish. What have you done to my tribe? Lin Tian couldn't be bothered with her failure to grasp reality. He spoke softly. The goblin's strength is now every bit the equal of you elves. You don't have the power to resist. He then continued with a cold indifference. When the elves were strong, you killed goblins. Now that the goblins are strong, it's only natural they'd come for revenge. I suggest you learn to accept reality. It'll be better for you. Lin Tian leaned in, whispering close to the matriarch's ear. I need even stronger goblin warriors. And for that, I still need all of you. As he spoke, he pressed the cold blade against the matriarch's smooth cheek, a clear reminder for her to know her place. The matriarch's pupils contracted in horror. She couldn't believe this was truly happening to her people. As if to make himself perfectly clear, he continued, and after I'm done using you, whether you live or die. He paused, then let out a loud laugh. That'll depend entirely on your attitude, matriarch. Below them, the symphony of screams continued. With just a few swift movements, the elves were all dealt with, plunged into an abyss of suffering. The victor is king. The loser, a pariah. The men are enslaved. The women are made to serve. Their fate was sealed. The matriarch was lost. She crumpled to the ground, her eyes vacant. Her whole body gave out. Utterly powerless, she sat on the cold, hard earth. Just then, the matriarch forced herself to move. She crawled toward Lin Tian, reaching a hand out to him. Please, she begged, just don't kill my children. Just let them live. I'll do anything you ask. Then, as if she had made a terrible, final decision, the matriarch began to remove her clothes. She used a piece of fabric to cover herself and faced Lin Tian. Her voice thick with humiliation, she said, I agree. We will stay and bear children for you. The next morning, Mother! Kasana's terrified cry rang out, deep in the forest at the hidden goblin encampment. Inside a cage, she wept uncontrollably, burying her face in the elf matriarch's arms. Even you were captured by the goblins. Mother, what are we going to do now? The elf matriarch's heart ached, but she knew their fate was sealed. She moved closer, holding her daughter tightly. She gently stroked her hair. I'm sorry, Kana. It's my fault. I underestimated them. I never imagined the goblins' power had surpassed our own. The elves? Her voice filled with bitter regret. She hated herself for ignoring Kasana's warnings, a mistake that had led them to this life of subjugation. Now our tribe is nothing but women and children, completely defenseless. To protect the bloodline of the elven people, she continued, her voice heavy as she explained the cruel reality to Kana. We have already mated with the goblins. Our tribe, the elves, are trapped, like fish in a barrel. We can only be caged by the goblins to be bent and broken at their will. We have absolutely no strength left to fight back. That is the harsh truth. The elf matriarch held Cassandra tightly as the girl sobbed into her hands. From now on, we can only survive here in the goblin tribe. She tried her best to console her. Mother! Tears streamed down their faces. Mother and daughter clung to each other, utterly helpless. Lin Tian stood outside, having witnessed the entire scene. Just relax and wait for the breeding season in there. I'll make sure you get 3 square meals a day. He stared at them, speaking with authority. At the same time, he delivered a warning from his position of power. But if you try anything foolish, don't blame me for killing you without mercy. If you even think about resisting, you'll find yourselves on a funeral altar. Hearing his words, the elf matriarch's tears fell in silence. She could only reply, I understand. She understood all too well the state her tribe was in now. But then, she suddenly gripped the iron bars of her cage. Her gaze was resolute as she made a request to Lin Tian. But I have one request. These are all my children. Please, let me take care of them. Even Cassandra was stunned by this. Her eyes went wide. Lin Tian was taken aback by the elf matriarch's words. Not far away, Goblin was happily playing with the goblin children. Elves. Then, something occurred to him. The system panel appeared. A tribute. Endless motherly love. Lin Tian's eyes widened in realization. So that's why? Is it because of her attribute? He mulled it over for a moment. Suddenly, a voice called out, Lin Tian, you can't take care of all of them on your own. Lin Tian turned to see Goblin surrounded by the children. She continued, let her do it. From now on, let her be the one to look after the children. He glanced at the veritable army of kids swarming Goblin. Lin Tian crossed his arms, lost in thought. Once these elves mature, they could bring a significant amount of power to the tribe. These children are the seeds of our future. First, I should check the stats I get from mating with the matriarch. He focused on the system window. Attribute. Endless motherly love. Congratulations, host. You have obtained a promotion. Aptitude. Converted into life value plus 200. Energy plus 30. Defense plus 30. He sank into deep thought. Has my aptitude already been maxed out? His eyes remained glued to the system window. Lately, any potential I gain is being converted directly into stats. Thinking about his goal and the path his future development could take, Lin Tian's gaze hardened with determination. A smirk played on his lips. Looks like from now on, all I need to do is keep mating with strong individuals to directly boost my own strength. My current power is already enough to crush Lord. Once these elves finish giving birth, I'll find an opportunity to pay him a visit. Time flew by in a flash. Half a month went by. Wah! Wah! The shrill cries of a newborn baby echoed out, drawing a crowd of onlooking goblins. Inside the cage, a goblin infant had been born. A goblin father beamed, looking at the baby with a wide smile. The elf mother lay panting on the ground, exhausted from childbirth. Without a moment's hesitation, the goblin father snatched the baby and walked away, leaving the elf mother behind. Terrified, she began to stutter, scrambling backward, trying to get away from another goblin infant crawling toward her. Oh, gods! Is that what I gave birth to? It's hideous. I don't want a child like that. It's so scary. Beside her, another elf clutched her own stomach, her labor beginning. Lin Tian and Goblin watched the scene unfold from outside the cage. Lin Tian calmly surveyed the pregnant elves in the enclosure. He asked Goblin, how many newborns do we have now? She set down the child in her arms, panting slightly. She thought for a moment, counting in her head. Then she answered, I think we're up to about 30 or 40 now. NNGH. It hurts. Arg. Cassandra let out a piercing scream. Her eyes flew open, wild with pain. She shrieked. Lin Tian immediately whipped his head around to see what was happening with her. His expression was grave. He and Goblin rushed over to the cage holding the mother and daughter. Cassandra, don't give up. Push. The elf matriarch, holding one of the newborns, looked at Cassandra, her heart aching for her, coaching her through the delivery. Cassandra lay on the ground, clutching her stomach in agony. Her head was thrown back. She squeezed her eyes shut, letting out a scream. I can't do it. Seeing the situation worsen, the matriarch desperately pleaded with Lin Tian. She was covered in a cold sweat. Please, you have to save her. This is her first time giving birth. She's not going to make it. Lin Tian quickly moved toward Kana, calling for Goblin to assist. Spread her legs. Watching them both approach, the matriarch grew even more tense. Goblin held Kana's legs apart, making it easier for Lin Tian to work. When she saw him bend down to deliver Kana's baby, the matriarch was utterly stunned. She moved closer. You know how to do this? Unlike the panic around him, he spoke calmly. A little. Realizing it was Lin Tian delivering her baby, Kana was suddenly overcome with embarrassment. She cried out, averting her gaze. Don't. I don't want you to do this. But Lin Tian remained focused on the delivery, completely ignoring her protests. He muttered, They're my children, too. His gaze was serious, his focus intent on the task at hand. After a few moments, he took a cloth and wiped his hands. He announced, It's done. She's going to be fine. Goblin stared at him, eyes wide with admiration. He said cheerfully, Lin Tian, you're amazing. You saved her. But Lin Tian seemed unfazed. As he continued to wipe his hands, it was nothing. Back at the cages, the goblin children had been born. Mother and children were both safe and sound. They huddled around Kana, who had passed out from exhaustion, seeing that her daughter was safe. The matriarch was overjoyed. Let me go. Suddenly, a scream echoed from nearby, immediately drawing the attention of Lin Tian and Goblin. In a cage not far away, two goblins were fighting over an elven woman, intent on assaulting her. Hey, she's good to go again. I'm first. They laughed crudely as they closed in, their hands all over her. This cage held an elf who had just given birth. Swish! A blade pierced straight through the goblin, killing him instantly. The other goblin froze, terrified. He couldn't even move. The sight was seared into his mind. Lin Tian withdrew the dagger. His voice was cold as ice. I already told you. The remaining goblin's body gave out, and he collapsed to the ground, limbs trembling. The matriarch watched from behind, witnessing everything. This was a far cry from the calm Lin Tian of moments ago. He now looked like a demon king from the underworld. His eyes were bloodshot with rage. His ferocity was palpable. Though his words were quiet, they held the undeniable authority of a king. You will wait until they are fully rested and recovered before they are to breed again. Anyone who disobeys. He glared down at the cowering goblin. From now on, every elf gets an extra portion of fruit, more than their usual rations. All he could do was bow his head and answer, trembling. Why, yes, sir. In that moment, the way the matriarch looked at him changed completely. She stepped forward. You truly are not like the other goblins. Lin Tian simply gave her an indifferent glance. His gaze was distant as he spoke. This is how things should be. As long as you all behave, your treatment will improve. Ding! The system displayed images of the goblin tribe completely subjugating the elves, their future generations growing ever stronger. Life script simulation initiating. Asterisk current storyline asterisk. Elf Doctor, through your efforts, the elves have been captured. At the same time, all the female elves have been impregnated. After a period of gestation, the elves will give birth to goblins with attributes far stronger than normal. Seeing that the tribe's numbers are about to increase, you decide to seek out Lord and his crew for revenge. You sneak into Guangming Town alone and successfully track down the party of so-called heroes. To get your revenge on those two, you have been preparing for this day. Personally attempt to kill Lord's party. Plus 50 points. Lead the goblins to take revenge and bathe Guangming Town in blood. Plus 30 points. Quietly observe. Believing now is not yet the time. Continue to watch for a while longer. Plus 10 points. I found them this quickly? Staring at the crackling fire, Lin Tian fell deep into thought. Even though my power is now on par with Lord, his companions are not to be underestimated. With my current strength, I can probably only manage to kill Lord by himself. Selecting the first option, take matters into my own hands. Attempt to kill Lord and his group. Plus 50 points. The scenario updates. A simulation image appears. Life simulation sequence initiated. The scene shifts, showing the Holy Maiden. You finally find an opportunity when Lord is alone and choose to strike decisively. Just as Lord is caught off guard and on the verge of death, Lord's master, the Holy Maiden of the Sword, appears. The Sword Maiden saves Lord. You die a gruesome death under her blade. Soon after, Lord's hero party returns to the royal. They are not seen again. Final assessment. Against the powerful Sword Maiden, there is absolutely no chance of escape. You must be careful. Score, 30 points. Total score, 100. Life points reward, 130. This life simulation is now complete. Elapsed time, 9 days. After reviewing the outcome, Lin Tian's eyes widened in shock. What the hell is this? The Holy Maiden of a Sword. A sword saint of the people. Why would a strategic level powerhouse like that show up in a backwater place like this? I don't get it. And on top of that, Lord and his group are planning to leave Guangming Town. Once they're gone, it'll be incredibly difficult to find them again. Then I'm running out of time. Damn it. Looks like I have to move fast. While he sat there, mulling over a solution, Goblin brought a tray of fruit to the elf matriarch. Even as prisoners, they would not want for food or water. Lin Tian turned to look. He was silent for a few seconds, as if an idea had just struck him. That's it. Amidst the quiet scene of the meal being served, Lin Tian slowly began to walk forward. He spoke to Goblin. Goblin, I'll be heading into human territory for the next few days. You're the warrior the tribe respects most after me. So for the next few days, I'm leaving all the tribe's affairs in your hands. Goblin and the matriarch were both stunned by what he said. The matriarch quickly spoke up. You're leaving? If you're discovered in human lands, you'll be surrounded and hunted to death. He simply looked at the matriarch with a calm expression. I have a score to settle with the humans. All you need to know is that I must have my revenge. The matriarch said at once. You still can't just go recklessly. How about this? I can cast a concealment spell on you. That way, the humans won't be able to find you. Seeing her so agitated, even Goblin turned to look. But this was exactly what Lin Tian had been hoping for. His eyes, hidden beneath his long hair, curved into a smirk. That's the line I was waiting for. He held his hand out towards the matriarch and said with a smile, I didn't think you still cared about my safety. How rare. She remained calm, closing her eyes as she began to cast the spell. She said slowly, I'm only afraid that if you die, those other goblins will treat us even more cruelly. Besides, my children are all here. Only by returning to a safe place can we be truly protected. This was said to reassure Lin Tian that she had no other intentions. At the same time, the matriarch shyly draped the enchanted cloak over his shoulders. Lin Tian merely glanced at it, as expected of the elven matriarch. She's pretty savvy about how the world works. Lin Tian strode away with long steps. Gottman hurriedly called out, Lin Tian, I'll help you take good care of the tribe. The elven matriarch watched his departing figure. She unconsciously tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. Her gaze was unusually gentle. I know. Lin Tian simply gave a casual wave. I'll be back. His figure grew more and more distant, slowly vanishing into the night. The scene shifts to Luminous Town. This place, normally bustling and lively, was now patrolled by so many soldiers that the streets had become sparse. Squads of guards patrol the area, observing everything from one end of the street to the other. But while the guards were focused on the main streets, and where the light couldn't reach, a lone figure watched their every move. In a small, dark alley, Lin Tian stood with his arms crossed, leaning against a wall. There are patrols here too. Why have the city's defenses suddenly become so strict? Could it be that the Saintess of the Sword has already arrived? Stepping out of the alley, he began to scout the surrounding area. But I've been digging for information for half a day and haven't heard a single thing about the Saintess. What the hell is going on here? He passed by an apple stand. The owner cheerfully called out to him. Young man, care to buy some? But he just hurried past. His mind was still fixated on the Saintess. Strange. After walking for a while, he arrived at the town's central square, where a large crowd of people had gathered. They were all looking in the direction of a large group of warriors. Is there some big news? Maybe I can find some information here. Lin Tian turned curious. I wonder if it has anything to do with the Saintess, or if there's any kind of clue for me. He moved closer to get a better look. He squeezed through the dense crowd. This is the Luminous Town Adventurer Team rankings. Let's see. Rank 1, the Prophet Hero Party, Platinum. Rank 2, Hero Bosco, Silver. Rank 3, Save Your Hero Party, Silver. The rest are bronze rank. Rhodes, that bastard. It's only been a short while. Lin Tian lowered his head, his long hair hiding his eyes. How'd he get this strong already? And he actually made it to first place? If that's the case, they'll have to speed things up. He began to walk again, quickly, weaving his way through the bustling crowd. I have to find more clues, and fast. Otherwise, my plan for revenge will be ruined. A light breeze blew past. Lin Tian continued on his way. Searching. This town is so crowded, and there's so many places. Finding those guys won't be easy. Besides, I don't have much information to go on. Maybe I should try asking some of the locals. Just as he was thinking, a voice boomed from a nearby tavern. Haha, drinks are on me today. Everyone drink up. Have a good time. That voice, it's so familiar. There's no mistaking it. I'd recognize that voice even if he were burned to ash. He stopped in front of the tavern. That voice. So, this is where I find you. The corner of his mouth curled into a smile. A slow, menacing grin spreading across his face. So this is where you've been hiding. Rhodes. Lin Tian stepped inside. The man he was looking for was right in front of him. Just you wait. One step at a time. He moved in closer. An adventurer joyfully recounted his tale. You guys have no idea. I was almost killed by those 4 demon apes back there. Luckily, Evria and guild leader Lord showed up just in time to save my life. As he spoke, he gestured wildly with his mug. The surrounding crowd was captivated, hanging on his every word. Lord, his mouth full, swelled with pride. He took a cool sip of his drink. Evria giggled, looking at the storyteller. Our guild leader is the truly amazing one. There's no way I could have killed those 4 demon apes by myself. At a nearby table, a member of the BOD guild looked on with contempt. He sneered. For measly demon apes? You're not seriously bragging about that, are you? How pathetic. Hearing that, the adventurer's face darkened instantly. He flew into a rage. Clang. He slammed his mug on the table. He roared at the man. What the hell does this have to do with your BOT guild? Piss off. Lord just smirked, calmly sipping his drink as he watched. The other man grabbed his bottle and stalked over, ready for a fight. He yelled, Don't think I won't kick your ass just because you're one of Lord's little heroes. The adventurer, fueled by a few drinks, was just as fired up. He immediately drew his sword and shot back. Bring it on. You think I'm scared of you? The rest of the tavern fell silent, watching the show. We get at least 100 drunken idiots a day starting fights in here. I'm sick of seeing it. To keep this little drama from getting out of hand, the only way to stop these fools is to change the subject. The veteran bartender picked up a cloth and began polishing a glass as he spoke. The vile dragons of Dragon Island have entered their breeding season. They've been snatching livestock from the ranchers, and they'll eat any person they come across. If you're all so tough, go kill them. Stop causing a ruckus in my establishment. I deal with 100 punks like this every day. You have to shut them down, or you'll be out of business. With that, he hit them where it mattered. Lin Tian immediately glanced over at the bartender. Is that intel solid? Bro. But one look at the bartender's face said he wasn't joking in the slightest. His eyes were narrowed, his expression completely serious. He laid out the situation with grim clarity. Think about it. If the vile dragons attack the town of Light, the royal capital won't be able to send reinforcements in time. The adventurers in this town alone are not enough to stop their assault. It looks like the town of Light is about to be plunged into darkness. The old-timer's words had completely silenced the rowdy tavern. The more he spoke, the more anxious and fearful everyone became. All eyes shot toward the bartender. Everyone froze in place. It was as if time itself had stopped. No one dared to even breathe. Suddenly, a voice cut through the heavy silence. They're just a few dragons. What's there to be afraid of? Lord was supremely confident. He smirked, raising his mug. Well, since things have come to this, I suppose there's no need to hide any longer. The truth is, the Sword Saintess is already on her way here. The Sword Saintess is my master. Once she arrives, we will join forces and slay those dragons. We won't even need reinforcements from the royal capital. And after the matter is resolved, my guild will accompany the Saintess back to the capital. Every head in the room snapped toward him, hearing the words Sword Saintess. Everyone's eyes went wide with shock. The tavern erupted in a storm of whispers. Some were overjoyed. Others were skeptical. Lord managed to summon the Saintess herself? Humph. How is that even possible? You gotta be bluffing. No doubt about it. With the Saintess leading the charge. What do we have to fear from a few vile dragons? If he actually pulls this off, Lord will become the greatest hero the town of Light has ever known. The tavern instantly buzzed with excitement. Loader, basking in the crowd's cheers, laughed heartily. Tonight, I've invited all you brave warriors for a drink. Consider it an early celebration for the Saintess's arrival and our coming victory against the dragon. Loader stood up. He tossed a pouch of gold coins onto the table. With a dramatic flourish. What a show-off. Only the rich can afford to be so flashy. Hearing this, everyone roared in approval and raised their glasses. Cheers! Laughter echoed through the hall. They drank deeply. An evil dragon attacking the town. This is my chance. Lin Tian picked up a gold coin from the table. He paid for his drink, then stood up and walked away. From across the room, Loader noticed. His eyes followed Lin Tian's every move. As Lin Tian stepped through the doorway, a slightly tipsy Loader smiled and called out to him. Hey you, not gonna stay for a few more rounds? Hearing his voice, Lin Tian paused. His hair fell over his eyes, hiding his expression. It was impossible to guess what he was thinking. A smirk touched his lips. He simply replied, No, thanks. Then, he turned his head slightly. His eyes held a playful glint, yet there was something unsettling about them. His voice was laced with a hidden meaning. We'll have plenty of other opportunities. Seeing his blatant disrespect, Loader and his men scowled and sneered. One ungrateful jerk. I offer to buy him around, and he just blows me off. What a weirdo. Once word got out that the Saintess was coming, the whole town erupted in a wild celebration. Flowers adorned the buildings. Petals rained down on the streets. Welcome inside the hallowed sanctuary. Sunlight streamed down from above, bathing a girl seated in the main hall in a golden light. From a distance, she appeared fragile and beautiful. Loader entered. He knelt on one knee in a traditional knight salute. Then, he reported with the utmost respect. Master, the evil dragon has been circling the area for the past few days. It's getting closer. No one dares to let their livestock out to graze anymore. I predict it won't be long before it attacks Luminance Town. As Loader finished his report, the girl slowly opened her eyes. She grasped her sword and rose to her feet. How goes the task I assigned you? The Saintess turned around. Her piercing gaze fell upon Loader. She was clad in a full suit of knight's armor. An ornate circlet, reminiscent of a Greek goddess, crowned her head. She was so dazzlingly beautiful and powerful that one dare not look at her directly. Loader immediately lowered his head respectfully. With a hand over his heart, he answered earnestly, The dragon hunting crossbows have been built according to your schematics. They're being positioned at various high points throughout the town. She walked past him, her expression indifferent. Her voice was cold as ice. Ensure they are positioned perfectly. If not, every last one of you will be useless to me. Do not bring me shame. As they stepped out of the sanctuary, they were immediately mobbed by a crowd of villagers and warriors of all stripes. Frankly, they were acting more like a pack of gawkers. The crowd erupted. That's her, the Saintess of the Sword. She's so majestic. I can't imagine what kind of man could ever be worthy of her. In your dreams, even His Majesty the King wouldn't dare presume. The Saintess remained completely unfazed by their words. She was either unbothered or simply considered them beneath her notice. This is a critical time. Why is everyone gathered here? Disperse them. Her voice was soft, but held an undeniable authority that made Loader tense up. He broke out in a cold sweat. He bowed his head low. Clasping his hands, he replied, Why yes, Master, from far away. Scree, a blood-curdling scream, ripped through the town. A dragon snatched a villager from the ground, soaring into the sky. A trail of horrified screams followed in its wake. Run for your lives. The dragon is here. Help me. The townspeople are scattering in every direction, running for their lives, faster than they've ever run before. From the temple steps, the Saintess and the Lord drew their swords, holding them at the ready. Following the screams, echoing from above, they looked up. The shape of a dragon became terrifyingly clear. The Saintess's brow furrowed. Her eyes were filled with caution. That's a scout dragon. The Saintess immediately cried out, When one of them appears, it's sure to lead a horde of evil dragons right to us. Lord, take your comrades. To the city walls. With me. Thump, thump, thump. Boss. The dragons are here. The frantic footsteps of a goblin echoed through the area. Gasping for breath, it looked at Lin Tian, panting as it delivered its report. I just got back from scouting. The city walls are crawling with soldiers. Pant, pant. Boss, what should we do? But in stark contrast to his scout's panic, Lin Tian simply turned and spoke calmly. I know. We'll wait here for now. He walked towards a cliff's edge. With a flick of his cloak, it billowed in the wind. Whoosh! His eyes gazed into the distance. A smirk touched the corner of his lips. He said with a grin, time to enjoy the show. His armed minions gathered around him, a formidable force roaring as they awaited his command. This is getting more and more interesting. The scene shifts to Guangming Town. At that very moment, the sky-shattering roars of dragons filled the air. They appeared from above, their wings blotting out the sky as they swarmed. They dove towards Guangming Town, a terrifying sight to behold. The sky instantly turned black, as if the apocalypse had arrived. They beat their wings, descending lower and lower, their targets set on overwhelming the town. A massive dragon was flying at incredible speed, not far from the city walls. Then suddenly, a bolt of power shot from nowhere, piercing straight through its tough, armored body. It let out a pained shriek and began to fall. All around, other dragons continued to swarm in, relentless. The fall of their comrade did nothing to deter them from their goal. Seeing the colossal dragon struck down right before their eyes, Every and the Lord couldn't believe it. Both of them were completely stunned. Their eyes went wide as saucers. Their jaws dropped as they froze on the spot. They were in awe of the dragon-hunting crossbow's terrifying power. Beneath the dark, apocalyptic sky, wave after wave of dark shadows streaked through the air on the town's ramparts. The saintess stood with proud defiance. She calmly turned to a knight and explained, "Do you understand how to use the dragon-hunting crossbow now? All dragon-hunting crossbows prepare to fire." "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am." Their replies were filled with deep respect. After seeing the crossbow in action, everyone understood its power. They were filled with admiration. The saintess truly lives up to her name. Everyone seemed to be filled with newfound courage. They moved with incredible speed. Immediately, the warriors and knights scrambled to the mounted crossbows. Some took positions on the wall as spotters, while the rest rushed to the bolt chests and began to load the weapons. Loading complete. Ready. Fire. Asterisk whoosh. Whip. Asterisk. A continuous rain of bolts shot into the sky, causing the dragons to lose their balance and fall like stalks of wheat. They came crashing down, but even so, they kept coming in a massive, endless swarm, wave after wave. Charge forward. Seeing the tide of battle turn, a young man cheered with delight. As expected of the dragon-hunting crossbows, they're incredible. But a moment later, his comrades spotted something. He quickly grabbed an arrow and ran over. Wait, everyone look. The sky is changing. Bolts of lightning split the heavens, crackling with immense power. Crack! Suddenly, from amidst the lightning, a colossal figure with massive wings emerged. Its roars shook the very earth. The sky shifted to a deathly purple. Something's coming. The next second, an overwhelming pressure crashed down on them. Everyone clutched their heads and collapsed to their knees, screaming, "Arg! My head is splitting apart," watching the terrifying scene unfold from a distance. Lodo and Eval were horrified. They recoiled in fear. Cold sweat poured down their faces. Eval quickly covered her ears from the deafening thunder. They were both frozen to the spot. Lodo stammered, his voice trembling. "Oh my God, what is that?" The dragon that had appeared amidst the lightning stretched its massive form. It let out a furious roar. Its body crackled with arcs of purple electricity. Each roar brought down a barrage of thunder, shocking everyone into inaction. All they could do was stare, paralyzed on the ground or frozen in place. Then a look of recognition. One of the soldiers screamed, "It's the amethyst dragon matriarch. Quick, prepare to fire. It's too far away. These dragon-hunting ballistae can't even touch it from here. This is a catastrophe." Hearing the shouts from below, its glowing pupils looked down. Its irises narrowed into slits, staring at the tiny humans below. Then it craned its long neck back. A terrifying power began to gather in its mouth. It was blindingly brilliant, illuminating the entire dark sky. A devastating blast, like a cannon shot, descended upon them. A blazing stream of fire shot out. Rumble. It obliterated everything in its path. A blinding light carrying horrific, destructive heat. Realizing the danger, everyone ran for their lives. The city wall is coming down. Run. If we don't run now, we'll be cooked alive before we get another chance. Don't panic. A glowing, cool blue barrier appeared. Shine. It instantly expanded, covering everything. Leave the dragon matriarch to me. It's the Saintess. High-rank sword skill. She plunged her sword into the ground, channeling power to make the barrier spread faster. Her eyes narrowed, glaring at the dragon with cold fury. In a situation that hung by a thread, she calmly gave her orders. The rest of you continue defending the city. The shield enveloped the entire town. Raging sword aura. The dragon's fiery attack slammed into the shield and was stopped cold. The two opposing forces created an immense pressure in the air. Incredibly powerful. Boom. Fire scattered everywhere. If she had been a moment later, the entire town would have been wiped off the map. The other dragons could no longer get in, nor could anyone get out. Blocked by the shield, they roared in frustration. They continuously slammed themselves against it. Asterisk thud. 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 Asterisk. Trying to break through. To think she can withstand an attack from the dragon matriarch. Standing on a mountaintop, observing everything from afar. The sound of the assault on the barrier was relentless. Crash, again and again. Lin Tian stood there, the corner of his robe fluttering in the wind. Behind him, a crowd of goblins watched the battle unfold. Quite the spectacle. But this is all within my calculations. The dragon matriarch is a monster, all right. Just look at these stats. Amethyst Gold Dragon Matriarch. Level, 79. Race, Eternal Great Dragon. Class, None. Title, Ruler of Dragon Island. HP, 4,100. Strength, 510. Defense, 580. Skills, Amethyst Gold Dragon Flame. Humanoid form, Dragon's Roar. Eternal Summoning. Equipment, None. Overall, 2,900. Such a colossal figure. She has overwhelming power, but she's still just a side character. More importantly, she's the real monster. As he thought this, Lin Tian's eyes grew wary. Sweat beaded on his brow. He was looking at the Sword Saintess's stats. They were enough to leave you speechless. The system displayed her detailed stats. Iltina. Level, 80. Race, Human. Class, Sword Saint. Titles, Sword Saintess. The Strongest Sword. Dragon Slayer. Pinnacle of Humanity. Sword Prodigy. HP, 1,700. Strength, 690. Defense, 700. Skills, Raging Sword Wave. Sword and Soul Union. Adamant Will. Star-Shattering Slash. Samsara's Violet Blade. Ancient Sword Intent. Overall, 4,000. Asterisk slash. 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 Asterisk. Everyone the Saintess's slashes cut through them like a hot knife through butter. One by one, the dragons were struck down, raining from the sky before her mighty blade. An imposing figure. Overwhelmingly powerful. She leaped through the air, killing them one by one. An explosion of power. Her presence was immense. Lin Tian thought to himself, this girl's power is... It's a good thing I'm not the one fighting her. Otherwise, we'd be in for a world of hurt. She's definitely not an opponent you want to provoke. After defeating the other dragons, she used their corpses as stepping stones, seizing the opportunity to strike at the dragon matriarch's weak spot. With a single thrust, her sword plunged into its wing. It tore right through a layer of its hide. The dragon matriarch craned its neck and roared in agony. Based on the data, the dragon matriarch's power is a little weaker than the Saintess's, but she has the edge in regeneration and raw durability. The Saintess won't be able to finish her off quickly. Back where Lin Tian and his group were standing, a dragon flew past overhead. Lin Tian stood silently with his arms crossed, while the goblins watched on, not making a move. They were still awaiting his order. Right now, the Saintess is preoccupied with the dragon matriarch. That means no one is paying attention to anyone else. The moment I've been waiting for has arrived. From beneath his cloak, a slow smirk spread across Lin Tian's face. This is the perfect opportunity. Then he gave the command, move the troops. Our chance to get revenge on humanity is finally here. Stick to the plan. Enter the city. One squad will create a diversion. An ambush team lay in wait. Yes, sir. Boss. The goblin horde roared as one. Beneath a pitch-black sky, while the war between man and dragon raged on here, the goblin army was already in position. Dark clouds and bolts of lightning concealed their movements. At the same time, an immense, unexpected battle was about to begin. Back in Bright Town, the dragons that had broken through the defenses were attacking relentlessly. They swooped and soared everywhere. Flames spewed from their mouths, consuming everything in their path. They left behind nothing but a desolate, blazing inferno. These damn flying dragons are a real pain to deal with. Rode shouted, gasping for breath. This is taking way too much out of me. But then he thought of the glorious future that awaited him, and he burst out laughing. Ha! A beast is a beast, after all. Good thing the master was here this time. With a grunt of effort, he braced himself with his right hand and slowly forced his way to his feet. His body was exhausted, but it hardly seemed to faze him. He looked down at the dragon's corpse and let out a triumphant laugh. His face was a mask of pure arrogance. That makes me a dragon slayer, too. Goblins. The town's been invaded. He saw a man scrambling toward them, clutching his head in panic. Rode gritted his teeth and spun around. His eyes narrowed in suspicion. What? You gotta be kidding me. No matter how stupid those goblins are, there's no way they'd show up here. We're not even done fighting off these dragons. And now some guy runs out here, saying we have more enemies? Like we don't have enough on our plates. Is this some kind of sick joke? At that moment, a knight was busy blocking a dragon strike. Evely was unleashing a magical assault, and Rode was wounded. Hearing the news, they all turned and started yelling at the messenger. But before they could even verify his claims, help me. From a distance, Rode could see it was true. Goblins had infiltrated the town, and they were hunting down the townspeople. This whole situation had gone completely sour. We haven't even finished this mess. And now we got another one. It's enough to make a man curse his own fate. Damn it. Rode saw that the man had been telling the truth. He cursed furiously. A bitter fury burned in his eyes. Of all the times, they just had to show up now. There aren't many of those evil dragons left. You two hold the line. Evilly with me. We're taking care of the goblins. Hearing his command, one of the two defenders nodded. He raised his shield and weapon, ready to face the dragon. Meanwhile, Rode and Evilly sprinted toward the goblin swarm. A deadly aura radiated from them both. As they charged forward, they were chasing a lone goblin down a narrow street. From above, more goblins, who had been lying in wait, prepared their trap. You damn little freaks. Don't even think about running. Rode roared. The two of them pushed on, chasing their target relentlessly. The second I get my hands on you, you're dead. But just beneath a manhole cover, right in their path, in the darkness, a goblin waited, a wicked grin on its face and weapon in hand. Now, seeing its chance, the goblin let out a cry. I've timed this perfectly, down to the last millimeter. Nowhere to run, little man. Its sharp cackle echoed through the alley. A blood-curdling scream pierced the air. Captain, help me. The goblin's got me. Evilly was caught in a goblin net trap. She twisted and struggled desperately, turning to Rode for help. Damn it. Where did all these goblins come from? By then, Rode knew the situation was bad, but his leg was injured. He couldn't move, and now he was surrounded by goblins. There was no one else around to help. He gritted his teeth, his eyes burning with helpless rage as he glared at the goblin horde. Captain, I'm here. A voice echoed from the distance. Just hold on. It was the two from before. They had returned. But the goblins weren't going down without a fight. Grabbing their weapons, they immediately surrounded the knights and launched a relentless assault. Every trapped in a net could do nothing but scream, "Let me go." Loader, however, was completely exhausted, sprawled on the ground. Now, only those two knights were still fighting back fiercely. From the distance, Lin Tian approached, silhouetted against a backdrop of raging flames. He looked like a figure walking straight out of hell. With each step, he drew closer to the two knights. Look out, behind you. Loader screamed with everything he had left. The two fighting knights instinctively spun around before their astonished eyes. Lin Tian's blade carved a beautiful, deadly arc through the air. Blood erupted like a firework display. drenching the ground in crimson. The gruesome scene was enough to make one forget to breathe. A slender figure, shrouded in a cloak, moved closer. In the blink of an eye, 2 lives had been extinguished. He approached Loader and Every without a sound. As they witnessed the slaughter, their eyes widened. In terror. So fast. He killed 2 of our comrades. Just like that. Veins bulged on Loader's neck as fear and fury coursed through him. Gritting his teeth, he glared at Lin Tian with pure, unadulterated rage. I never thought catching you all would be this easy, Lin Tian said, slowly approaching. He pulled back his hood with a smirk. His minions, understanding instantly, seized both of them and dragged them before Lin Tian. Every one of his footsteps sounded like a death knell from the depths of hell. I'll kill all you despicable goblins. Loader, having seen his 2 comrades cut down, roared in agony. He stared at Lin Tian, his eyes burning with hatred. He tried to lunge at him, but the minions held him back. Looks like you need a reminder of your current situation before you run that mouth of yours, Lin Tian said nonchalantly, as his foot slammed into Loader's face. The pain so blinding his eyes rolled into the back of his head. My, how the tables have turned. And you still don't know your place. Try to talk tough. You must have a death wish. You lot, take these 2 out of the city through the sewers. The rest of you, follow me to the city walls. We're going to take care of that archer. Lin Tian turned and issued his commands. He then led a group toward the ramparts, leaving Loader unconscious on the ground, and Every still tied up in the hands of his remaining minions. Yes, boss. The entire group roared in unison. So many goblins. Someone hurry. From the distance, a cacophony of screams echoed endlessly from the town. The Holy Sword Maiden's eyes shifted toward the sound. She felt a strange sense of unease. What in the world is happening? Goblins launching a sneak attack at a time like this? Where are you looking? You should be more worried about yourself. The Dragon Mother now stood before her in human form. She looked down at the distracted Holy Sword Maiden. The Dragon Mother's form was sublime, almost dreamlike. Her curves, a blazing fire from head to toe. Her piercing eyes glowed with a brilliant light. Looking down from on high, she continued with a provocative smile. So persistent, Sword Saint,